good. All right.
Solid, man, solid.
All right.
Well, Rich, thank you for doing this. It's an honor to be here. Heard a lot about you over the years from a lot of people that definitely call you friend. So,
Is this too loud?
no, I don't think it'd be fun.
Okay.
We're at Sturgis, man. Like, they got to hear the bikes going by.
All right.
You know,
Okay.
creates the ambiance, I guess you'd say. But man, I think with you, like, you got such this rich history of where you came from. Like, you grew up in San Francisco, correct?
No,
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida.
So you start at Daytona, and now here you are in Sturgis. And then all over the country in between. Pretty much.
All over in between. No, I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida, at Halifax Community Hospital, and that's like just a few blocks away from the Speedway now.
Yeah.
And then we had a chance to move back up to Buffalo, New York. And
Really
my dad
did.
went to work for Chevy Tonawanda. And then
Yeah.
from Buffalo, when I finished up school, went right to the coast.
So you went to San Francisco, though, right?
Right.
Haight-Ashbury.
It was starting to die out when I got there.
It was dying out when you got there?
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of crimes, a lot of rapes, a lot of bad dope, a lot of burns.
So was it on the back end of like 67, like the Summer of Love stuff, or?
No, I was around 69.
69, okay.
Yeah. And then I bounced for quite a few years, bounced between LA and San Francisco.
Okay.
Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
So, I mean, you're in like prime time, you know, Hell's Angels lore TV or movies and all that stuff in those areas back in the day from, you know, Oakland and all that stuff that was going on in the late 60s there. And is that what kind of influenced you to get into the bike world, or?
No, I was pretty well entrenched by then.
Oh, already?
Yeah, yeah. And the cultural difference, as far as the motorcycles go, between like the East Coast, because everybody has their distinctive styles.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
you got East Coast, you got Midwest, you've got West Coast, and you've got the Northwestern influence.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was like night and day.
Yeah.
The bikes that were like that I was around on the East Coast were pretty much like stock Harleys with like the front fender taken off, you know, and a set of ape hangers
Yeah,
and white
yeah.
walls, and kind of like the bikes that they portray in what's the movie that just
Bike
came?
riders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of that style, you know, but a little bit more raggedy. And when I got to the coast, there were beautiful bikes. I mean, they're, you know.
Well, is it not, would you say that it's true that, like, you know, your Funny Sonny and your Tinies from El Forasteros were the guys that brought that chopper California custom motorcycle culture to the Midwest and whatnot?
Well, as far as Tiny and Tom Hugo go, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, that I could say, sure.
Yeah.
But as far as like Chicago, Buffalo, Cleveland,
Yeah.
not so much.
You don't think so? Okay.
It took them a while. Everybody's on the East Coast could get bad now, but I
Yeah.
mean, it took them a while to catch up. Do you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? By then, all the national publications were starting to come around. They were spreading to California. I don't want to say California, the California look,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, and style. And you had Street Chopper had just come out, Big Bike came out, Ross Choppers magazine
Uh-huh.
was pretty prevalent, and then it went from the small size to the full size.
So it was more like a
periodical.
little zine kind of thing back in the day,
Yeah.
and then it graduated to a full-size magazine.
And then it started to move east.
Oh,
that.
so the magazines really helped,
Yeah,
like, show that culture to the more the Rust Belt, I guess you'd say.
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So were you more like, was it choppers originally for you that was like the whole, like, your vibe into custom motorcycles, or,
Oh yeah,
you know?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. My first bike was a 41 Indian Scout, Sport Scout. I got that in 1968. And after I paid $750 for it, and everybody's going, "What are you, crazy?" You know?
Yeah.
A panhead is like $500. You know,
Yeah.
what are you spending $750 for this Indian for? And I'm going, well, the engine's totally rebuilt, transmission's been gone through. I said, primary's brand new. I said, right there, I'm not going to have any problems. But the first thing I did was go home and take the whole thing apart. And whatever I could unbolt, I set out for chrome.
Nice.
And I rattle canned the frame and sheet metal Omaha orange. And I remember when I took my chrome plating in, it cost like I say, everything I could unbolt.
Yeah.
I sent to the chromer. And about a week later, I thought, God, I ought to get this, because it had girder. Mm-hmm. I said, man, I ought to get this front end chromed. So I took it back to the guy who had the chrome, and he goes, well, you know, he's going, I'm not including this in the price, you know. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I'll pay for it. What's it going to cost me? He goes, $50. I'm going, you know, what's a front end now is like, it's got to be $700.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it cost me $250 for all the chrome that I had done, and then $50 for the girder.
Ended up being $300.
$300.
But that 68, that's pretty coin right there.
Well, I guess so, because minimum wage was like $1.50, I think.
Yeah.
$1.50 an hour. So I mean, you know, a 40-hour week. That's what, $75? Close?
Yeah, that's like a month's worth of pay right there, almost, if not more.
So when they said, you know, a panhead is $500, I mean, that's in relation to what the money was worth then.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you know, at that time, Harleys and Indians were falling out of the sky. Do you know what I mean? They were all over the place. They were super cheap. And all that stuff we took off and threw away, I wish I had it now.
Yeah, don't we all? That's,
you know, but hey, that's what youth is for, right?
Yeah.
So that was my very first bike, you know, and everybody kept saying to me, you know, they're going, you learn to ride on like a foot clutch and a hand shift? And I said, well, you know, I didn't know how to ride.
Yeah.
I said, it didn't matter to me if it was a hand clutch or a foot clutch.
Yeah, you had nothing to compare it to.
Yeah. I said, so I learned how to ride. You know, that way.
I've only ridden one hand, you know, no front brake, just, you know, jockey shift, foot clutch. And I did it on the highway, so it wasn't that scary. But I could imagine like being San Francisco on those fucking hills. That'd be gnarly. Oh, absolutely. You know? So what you do is, if you had somebody behind you, you just kind of roll back until you touch their tire. Yeah.
Touch their tire, or you know, you just roll back and touch somebody's bumper, whether they wanted you to or not. You know, and everybody's going, yeah, all right,
whatever,
fine, yeah, sure. But yeah, it's well, Steve, when he built his chopper, his very first one, which turned into his invited builders bike, you know, he wanted a foot clutch and a hand shift because he'd never had one. And I took it out front of the house, you know, and I said, okay, now.
You mean like hand shift, like side of the tank hand shift, or like?
No, jockey shift.
Okay, yeah.
Jockey shift down here. And I said, all right, you know, I said, just start it up. I said, put it in neutral. And I said, just kind of put it in gear, kind of get the feel, you know, work the little pedal, see when it engages and disengages. I said, hang on, I'm going to go get my camera. I turned around, he's gone.
He knew what you were going to do, yeah.
And he didn't come back for like an hour.
Damn.
You know, and I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ, he's in a ditch someplace. He's in the side of somebody's car. You know what I mean? And he comes back with this big giant grin on his face, you know. Yeah. So some people have a real aptitude for it, and other people never get the hang of it. But
what do you think there's something to be said about the way it feels to ride a motorcycle like that versus your typical, you know, like, does it have a different, I mean, obviously it's going to be an internal feeling, not so much like outside, but it just feels like more, like you're doing more. Does that make sense?
Well, like, you mean like kickstart versus electric start, or a hand shift versus
just like it's harder,
foot shift?
You know?
I kind of compare it to like, because I was real heavy into black powder rifles at one time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the difference between, you know, a modern rifle and a flintlock. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They both fire, but it's more of a challenge to shoot and hunt with the flintlock than it is with a modern rifle. You just put the cartridge in, pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You know, but there's more mechanics and there's more involvement, I think, with. So I equate that to the
rifle. Yeah.
To a hand shift and a foot clutch.
Nice.
You know,
it definitely makes it easier. You're less cables running up to the front. And
to be honest with you, I much prefer a hand clutch and foot shift.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I had my time with them. Okay.
Yeah,
so, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that I would actually do one on anything I personally would build going forward. It'd have to be like all right, I want to try. Something really would have to get me to want to try it and make that a daily thing.
Yeah, so you're saying like, okay, well, the next bike I build, it's going to be a jockey shift and a foot clutch.
Exactly.
You know, and like I say, that was the case with Steve. You know, but I think you are a little bit more involved with the motorcycle, its operation. You know, I mean, building choppers. When you think about it, like we're all frustrated sculptors.
Yeah.
And artists, and we like mechanical stuff, you know, and it's like Indian Larry used to say, it's the gizmo-ness of the motorcycle.
Yeah.
And you're more involved with what you're doing, and you got to pay a lot more attention. You got to plan out.
Yeah, where you're stopping.
You know,
try to cruise into that intersection.
Especially if you don't have a front brake on there.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, for years I never had a front brake, but then again, traffic wasn't like it is today.
True.
And I mean, traffic is bad all over the country. I mean, I don't think there's a place you can go, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that. So it made a lot more sense in the early days of this stuff versus now when you have that many people, so many more people on the road. And
yeah, and I think people were better drivers because everybody went to driver's education when they were in high school to get their driver's license, you know.
Well, if you think about just older cars, like you heard more of the outside. It's more mechanical. Nowadays these cars they have entertainment systems that you can barely hear anything from outside, and they want us all to make our exhaust systems quieter, and it's like, that's the only thing that kind of is, if you ever ride next to a Tesla, they don't hear you at all. You know what I mean? Like if you're splitting lanes in California, Teslas they don't hear your bike coming. It's so quiet in that car that it just really, I don't know, to your point, I just feel like a lot of people they're not being required to, as you said, do the driving test the way they used to, but these cars are just they require less effort from them. You know what I mean?
Well, I've always ridden with the theory that, everybody's out there to kill you anyway.
Yeah.
I'm always on offense. It's just that there's more people out there that drive worse than they did than there were before.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's like the bike I did for Slave Dave, it's no front brake on that panhead, and it was, Dave insists on a jockey shift, but Dave has been riding a jockey shift since 1960.
Yeah.
See?
So it's in his DNA then.
And he lives in Las Vegas, so tell me the traffic isn't bad there.
Yeah, that's pretty rough there.
Yeah.
Roads are pretty good, though.
How would you like to have been on a jockey shift bike for the last 2 days trying to get past Barstow and Baker when that tractor trailer truck tipped over with the lithium-ion batteries and caught on fire?
Oh, fuck. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Traffic was backed up forever. Even worse than when, people come home on Sunday night, from Vegas to LA. And how would you like to have been out there? Your leg would have fallen off.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Well, I'd have been splitting lanes.
Yeah, definitely smooth right through it, but
people would have been pissed because they're pissed already, you know.
It's hot out there.
Whew. But it's against the law to cut somebody off when they're splitting lanes out there. But people will, I mean, I've ridden enough in California to know that, if you're going down between the cars, they still move over like that, cut you off, But
It's good to see. There's more states starting to kind of adopt the lane splitting and filtering thing. I want to say Minnesota, they proved it's going to happen next year in 25. I want to say Utah's been legal for a while now.
Colorado just
did
for lane filtering.
Well, at least that, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take in Texas. Our traffic is absolutely insane, and if they would just let us filter, it's going to take 2 years for people to even know it's legal for the first time. Because Texas, when you split lanes there, these rednecks do not like that shit at all. You know.
I remember the first time I rode into Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I was with another guy, and we got pulled over for speeding.
Uh-huh.
And what are they, state troopers? State police?
Yeah, state trooper.
State trooper. He's a pretty nice guy, you know. He's going, "You guys are going a little fast out there, weren't you?" You know, well, it's like nothing around, you know what I mean? And he says, "Well, you know, I'm going to give you a warning, slow down, you know, and, you know, be careful." And
yeah.
As he turns to leave, my buddy goes, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" He says, "What is that?" And he goes, "Well, is it legal to carry a firearm on your motorcycle? And if it's unloaded?" And the trooper goes, "Well, you know, an unloaded pistol ain't going to do you much good, is it?" Which I thought was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just happened to remember that. That was
What year was that? You remember?
71, maybe.
Fuck.
You know,
Be crazy.
72.
I mean, there's a lot of Texas that's still pretty damn rural and not really developed much, especially if you're coming west to east. So 71, that's got to be like, I'm surprised you guys found gas, to be honest with you, to get across it.
Well, it was looking pretty bleak, you know, especially with small tanks, you know. But I was always of the, like, you know, Tom Fugel, I don't know how to put it. Tom always said, "Well, you know what?" He said, "You get you a 2 or 3 gallon can of gas."
Yeah.
And he says, "And when you run out of gas," he says, you fill up your tank and throw the can away." that was how he did it.
Yeah.
You know, so. But
That's wild.
yeah, that's funny. I just remembered that. That was pretty funny. I like that. So.
So how long did you stay? Where was it that you opened your first shop?
Oh, well, I didn't do that until 2001.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where were you at then?
In Denver.
Denver?
Well, Broomfield, halfway between Denver and Boulder.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And I didn't do that till 2001.
So what were you doing from like late 60s all the way into 2001? Like, what was your motorcycle life like then? Were you still customizing bikes and tinkering with them? And
yeah, I mean, I was building rods and and bikes in my garage.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And I was doing work for me. And then, you know, as your word gets around, they go, "Hey, can you weld this for me?" You know, and, you know, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" And that's what I was doing up until, because like I say, I spent 20 years in the body trades.
Yeah.
And then before that, I was a carpenter. And then I did a stint in Denver. I was feeling really bad. And I went in to see the doctor, and the doctor said, "You know, I was in the body trades, you know, and he's going, "You're getting too old for this."
Yeah.
He says, "Most guys your age," he said, "they're out of the shop." He said, "They're either writing estimates or in the office or, you know, doing something else." And he says, "My suggestion to you is you do something else."
Yeah.
So I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, everything I've always done had been physical. So I was reading through the want ads when they still had want ads.
Yeah.
You know, around about 2000, beginning of 2000. And there was an ad for inside sales and tech support for Giants motorcycles in Denver. And they were mainly, they had some walk-in trade, but they were mainly mail order. They used to, people probably remember the ads because they took full page ads out.
Yeah.
In like American Iron and, oh, Marilyn's going to kill me.
Like Wrought Iron.
Yeah, Ironworks.
Ironworks, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, Marilyn Stump's going to kill me. She's going, you couldn't remember my magazine. So anyways, I went to work for them. And I was doing like phone sales, you know, and tech support. You know, guys that go, well, does this work? Does that work? What do I need? You know, this is what I got. Can I use this? You know, and I did that for 2 years. And it was funny because when I went in for the interview, I walked in and they said, Ray will talk to you now. And I went in his office and it was Ray Fatlin, Arlen Fatlin's son, was managing the place.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're hired. He didn't even talk to me. He goes, we'll sit in here for a while. And he says, and then you can start on Monday. So that's what
cool.
That's what I did.
Well, to your point of like working in the body shop, that's something that I try to explain to a lot of people who listen to our podcast and whatnot. I love painting, but it is you are breathing a lot of things that eventually will start to just coat your lungs, and it's not like something you want to do till you know to your old. I mean, if you want to do some filler here and there,
oh yeah,
you know, but every day breathing Bondo dust, it's tough. Yes,
it's really tough, especially you know doing production body work and production painting.
Yeah,
because you know as well as I do. One car comes out of the booth, there's another one all masked up, ready to go in, you know, and you're mixing that and you spray that and it goes out and another one comes in. Plus, then you've got fuck ups and everything that you've got to fix, you know, and people coming back with paint problems. And, you know, you're getting paid by the flat rate. You're not getting paid by the hour, you know. So a lot of that time you have to eat it.
Yep.
You know, same thing with the bodywork. It's the same thing. I mean, I like doing it because I mean, basically, I was doing that type of work.
Yeah.
You know, on the side.
Yeah.
And you know, I worked for like 10 years almost. I worked for the transit company in Denver. They're all their intercity buses, you know, like the big Greyhound-sized buses, all the way down to the support pickup trucks and stuff. We did everything.
Yeah.
And the buses then were painted with Imron.
I remember those. I never got to spray any of that type of stuff, but I remember, you know, I grew up in a household full of body men and painters. Yeah. So they worked all day, and then the garage, there was a car in the garage getting painted at the house. You know what I mean? Well,
you know, what kicked that paint off and what made it so deadly
lead,
was isocyanates, you know, and the cyanates are cyanide. See, so you know when you were painting, nobody came in the paint booth, you know, and you wore. Well, when I first started out, all we were wearing were the respirators, you know, the paint's respirators, and then we went to the fresh air system.
Yeah.
You know. And then we got rid of it completely.
Yeah.
And we went to, we got all DuPont paint, and I'm trying to remember the system that we were using, and it wasn't Centauri, it was something else. Oh, I can't remember now.
Yeah, it's like the early 90s when they came out with the base coat, clear coat system.
Yeah, it was getting into that period because they sent me to the DuPont Trading Center in Los Angeles, which was actually right down in downtown LA. I mean, it was across the river from the Central Cop Shop. Okay. For the LAPD, where they landed all the helicopters on the roof and stuff. Yeah. And the reason they sent me out there was for the 2 and 3 stage paints.
Yeah, the pearls and the candies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. To learn those.
Because before, when it was like lacquer and I think the other one, what was it? I forget, but it was like it was all in one. Like you would candy a car, and it was the clear coat as well in that, and you'd wet sand that down to polish it, and you're polishing the color almost in some of it, right?
Well, they had, the enamels, you know, were like Centauri, and I'm trying to think of the Ditzler now. I can't remember the system now, but you painted it and that was it.
Yeah.
But it was an acrylic enamel. And with the lacquers, you painted the lacquers, and then you wet sanded between the coats, and then you added another coat on top of what you had wet sanded, because the lacquers would reactivate what you had already painted.
Okay.
And melt into it, for a better term.
Adhesion, yeah.
So you might have 30 coats on there, but basically you've only got about 4 or 5 because you're wet sanding.
Yeah, and smoothing it and everything.
And then you cleared.
Oh, okay. So they did clear coat
For the durability. Because lacquer itself, even with a clear coat, the early lacquers and that, even the early acrylic lacquers would like go all to hell. You know, especially if you live back east or in a cold climate, they used to check. And that's why you'd see like chunks fall off and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the modern paint systems, like I know it still comes into play, but you just don't deal with the weather elements as much as I feel like older systems used to, you know, whether the humidity or not. Like it's pretty damn idiot proof now. You can paint in whatever conditions. I mean, if it's too hot and you got the wrong reducer, then you're gonna deal with that. But for the most part, if you get the right, you know, reducers and hardeners in the right temperature bases, like you can pretty much paint whatever.
Well, you know, pretty much when I started painting, it was a pour and dump. You know what I mean? You know, and you watch now you walk into a modern body shop or refinishing center, and everything's computerized.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You got the scale there, and you've got your screen on your computer, you know, and it tells you to use this color, and you pour it in there until you watch the screen, and it goes up, and then you stop when it gets to the right ratios and that. But the problem with the modern day paints now is that, and especially the water-based,
I haven't even touched
versus
that.
the solvent-based, okay, there always were variants in the colors depending on where they were painted or where they were assembled, like Oshawa, Ontario, and you know, Van Nuys, California. You know what I mean? There was always some variance.
Yeah.
Now, it's really hard with the water-based paints. You'll look in your color books and you'll have like, you know, 6 or 7 variants on that same color. So, you know, if it was built in St. Louis, it's going to vary.
Yeah.
From, gosh, they've been closing so many plants in that I don't even know what's left. Anyways, in Southern California, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I did, you know, I haven't really been in the production line of painting as far as cars and stuff since probably almost 20 years. I've been strictly motorcycles for the last 20 years. And so really, you're not really dealing with the same things that like normal auto body shops are dealing with as far as like matching colors and shit. And the good thing about things like House of Co, like we were talking about before, is I want Tangelo Pearl.
Right.
It's pretty much the same all the time, you know, as long as you get the right base underneath it.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can actually look at most bikes running around and go, oh, that's Tangelo Pearl, that's True Blue Pearl, that's Candy Red Silver base, Candy Red Gold base, you know, and go from there.
Well, you get your house color charts out and you open them up, and the same color over like 70 different bases. Do you know what I mean?
But that's what makes it cool to be able to create your own stuff. And I do that a lot too whenever I would paint certain bikes, is you find the one, because you're looking at chips like this big, right?
Right.
And a lot of customers, they don't see the potential for those colors because it's so small. And everybody does do the silver or gold base on most of the candies. Well, you want to get a really nice root beer color. If you put orange candy over purple, I
was just going to say that.
It's
when
beautiful.
You said root beer, I was going to go, that's, you know.
So there's like ways you can get these colors that aren't, there's just so much options that I think are unexplored in modern trends that are going on in the motorcycle industry. So I like to dive into some of those obscure colors a little bit here and there.
Well, the urethanes are really nice.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, water-based paints are mainly for production.
Yeah.
You know,
they tried to sell
us the environment.
They tried to sell us on custom paint with that shit. I was like,
no.
I'm not.
No.
If I got to learn this system and it's going to be that much harder to do the same job, it's not even worth being in this industry anymore.
Yeah, well, the problem is, you know, if there's, and water-based is pretty common. I mean, you can look at my 94 GMC there and it's peeling off.
Yeah.
You know, It's,
Yeah.
because it was one of the early water-based paint jobs
Okay.
from the factory. But if you've got a failure, like if you use a water-based custom color, you have a failure like 2 years down the road, you're still responsible for that.
Yeah.
I mean, really. You can't say, well, you've had it for 2 years, you didn't wash it, you didn't wax it.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
If you've got like an adhesion problem or something like that, or a fade, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So who's going to eat that?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. See, this is the stuff that people never think of.
Yeah.
And I'm quite aware of it. But to get back, now we went off for a little bit. To get back, Giants Motorcycle closed.
Yeah.
They closed up. They kind of went bankrupt. And we were a big distributor for Purse Performance products.
Yeah.
They made complete front ends.
Uh-huh.
They made triple trees. They made axle spikes. They made derbies. They made lighted foot pegs. They made all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, a good example of the Purse front ends is that Joey sent a lot of front ends to Orange County Choppers when they first started their show on Discovery.
Yeah.
If you see one of those old shows, you see the Purse front end on the bikes. Almost every single bike had one. And you could always tell because it got the round axle on the bottom. So I went to work for Joey because I was up here in Sturgis right after they went bankrupt, and Joey said, that's, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm not sure. And he said, well, come work for me. He said, you were doing sales. He said, I'd like to have you do sales. And I said, okay. And I worked for him for about a year.
Yeah.
And he went to Biketoberfest. And he spent like $22,000, which you really didn't have.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he came back and he laid off like 4 or 5 guys. I guess who was the low man on a donut bowl?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was down the road again, and this was right before. Isn't it funny how these things work out?
Yeah, yeah.
It was right before Jesse had his No Love Party.
Yeah.
In November.
Was this the first No Love Party?
No, this is like the 4th, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Because this is like 2000. 2001. And when I was at Giants, we also sold West Coast chopper parts. And I had met Jesse in Daytona, and went to the No Love Party, and Jesse said, so Joey Purse laid you off? And I said, well, how did you find out? He's going,
Yeah.
So he says, because Joey used to sell West Coast parts as well. And he said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, geez, I don't know. It's just a couple weeks ago, we had the flight paid for. We had the rooms paid for. I said, so that's why I'm here. And he goes,
yeah.
Well, he goes, you must have like, I don't know what, $50,000 worth of tools and stuff in your garage? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, there you go. I go, there I go, what? He goes, build bikes. I said, yeah, right. You're going to give me an account? He goes, yeah. He goes, go in and see Pearl, his office manager.
Nice.
And I got home on a Monday, and Tuesday she calls me and she goes, okay, Rich, you're all set to go. COD on a company check.
Nice.
Which doesn't seem like a big thing, but from there, I could call a Paco, and they'd say, well, who do you have for references? Yep. And I said, well, I got West Coast Choppers, and they go, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So I was able to line up my vendors.
Yeah, you could leverage that relationship to other ones, yes.
Right. And that's why I say it wasn't a big deal, but it was a leg up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I'm trying to think of Brian. He's the one that painted. He's still in business. He's Killer Bee Studios.
Yeah, over in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome painter.
He painted my White Heat bike.
Yeah.
Okay. He painted that bike, and then he got big exposure because it was in Street Chopper.
Yeah.
They shot it at No Love Party the next year when I finished it. It's like 2004. And matter of fact, he's still got a plaque, with Today's People, I think,
nice.
In his shop. And
I didn't know he's been around that long. Killer Bee?
Well, he was working for a shop.
Yeah.
And he was doing their paint jobs for the body shop. Plus, they were doing their work too.
Yeah.
So he was like, the body shop was in front, and he was in the building that was in the back.
Okay.
And he did the paint on that.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm a fan of his work. He's got a good balance of like flavor, if that's a way you would describe it. Like he can do a lot of different styles,
Oh, he can.
So, yeah.
I mean, I've seen his airbrush work, and it's
badass.
It's really good. And he's pretty much the guy to say, what do you want for a paint job? And he goes, well, I want that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he'll do something completely different.
Yeah. How did you land that opening scene for Jesse's History of the Chopper?
Well, he called one time.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm doing a documentary on my history of the chopper.
Yeah.
He says, not a chronological per se chopper,
Yeah.
He goes, you want part in it? And I said, yeah, okay. And he said, well, most of the guys are going to be in it anyways. He says, so. He says, that was when he was just starting the production. And then, I'm trying to remember what year that was, 2004, I think.
Is that long ago?
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit earlier than that.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm an old man. I don't. So anyways, his production gal, Hildy, called me up and she said, okay, Rich, we're all ready to shoot. Now, this was back in like April, I think, or May. And then I talked to Jesse over the 4th of July weekend because I was out in Long Beach for the Sinners 4th of July party.
Yeah.
And talked to Jesse, talked to Hildy. They said, well, we're going to start shooting soon. And when we're ready, we'll come and get your bike. And then you'll fly out and we'll do the filming and go home and we'll ship the bike back. So, it went on and on and on and on. And I thought, this is never going to get done.
Yeah. And
then it was the end of January. I think it was, I don't remember, it was 2000, must have been 2006.
Yeah.
At the end of January, I got a call from Hildy and she said, okay, we're sending Jay Hodge out to get your bike. And, you need to get on the plane and come out here. So then I went out and they said, well, we're supposed to shoot on Wednesday when I got there. And they said, well, we're still not ready. We're going to postpone it another week. So we're going to fly you back home and then we're going to fly you back here again.
Yeah.
And do the filming. And I said, it's not like I don't know anybody out here.
Yeah.
And I said, the Grand National Roaster Show, I said, is this weekend. I said, why don't you just pay for the hotel room?
Yeah.
And I'll stay here.
Yeah.
So I just hung around, visited friends, went to the Roaster Show, and that Monday they shot. And
yeah, it was cool, man. Seeing all that. That whole series that you put out with that was pretty rad to see. Seeing old Tom Fugel on there and just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm enamored with all this kind of history, especially like a lot of it has to do with the way our current motorcycle industry is.
Oh, absolutely.
Guys like you and Keith, who we were talking about earlier, and I mean, all of you guys pretty much paved the way for us to be able to have a motorcycle culture to be able to make a living on, you know what I mean? And still come to places like Sturgis and shit like that, you know?
Well, that's, yeah, I'm going to touch on that too, because, but that history of the chopper, those were Jesse's chopper heroes. His big influences, you know, is who he put in there.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I only met Dick Allen like once, but I know Joe Hurst, who was his longtime riding buddy, and he's in the history of the chopper.
Yeah.
And Pat Leahy, known him forever, and he was in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to touch on this because I really think, and the guys like that, you know, from way back, we're talking in the 60s, you know, in the 70s. I think people have a tendency to forget about these people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They don't realize that these guys were like groundbreakers and they had nothing to go by. They were doing it by the seat of their pants or duplicating what their buddy did, you know, and you look at the history of the chopper and the guys from AEE are going, well, you know what, we had a lot of part failures and stuff, you know, and that's true. But I think people have a tendency to forget about those people.
Yeah.
It's like they just showed up and like they're it. So they got you know, decades of people.
Yeah.
You know, that pioneered this. And what I really think is a shame is that, you know, the people that were there even like 10 years before me.
Yeah.
The only time anybody pays attention to them is when they've got one foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel. Do you know what I mean? And all of a sudden everybody wants them, you know.
Yeah.
Or you know, it's like the starving artist who dies and then all of a sudden his paintings are worth $1 million. You know what I mean? Dead people don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? For the accolades because they're dead.
Exactly.
You know, these people should be revered and talked about and celebrated more than they do, you know.
I think it's an education problem because I think a lot of the people that come into the industry these days, they might be influenced to be into, you know, 10 years ago into big wheel baggers, right? And to see a big wheel bagger and trace the lineage back to, you know, a panhead, you know, chopper going down the highway, a lot of times people have a hard time seeing that.
Right.
And those bikes are so different than these that it's just, I'm not into that kind of stuff, right? So you get like this big disconnect between the history, in my opinion, of custom motorcycles, which is what we're talking about.
Right.
Everything. And then, you know, like I said, your big wheel baggers, and the big wheel baggers turn into, you know, whatever they do. And then you get a whole nother generation coming in on the Dynas and the FXRs that are starting to kind of look a little further back because of the club connection to, you know, performance style motorcycles that, you know, big clubs have ridden for years, FXRs and things like that.
Exactly.
So it's like it's a draw. Like, what is it? And it'd be cool to see more like, it's almost like if you can get like history of the chopper and some of these things that Jesse had did in the early 2000s on Netflix, then more kids and more younger people in this motorcycle industry would see it. And, you know, then I think it would get a little bit more respect for these individuals and people that built the industry for us.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people that don't like Jesse, you know, and there's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, they don't like him. He's too rich. He's married too many people. You know, whatever. He brought choppers back in a big way.
Yeah.
I mean, choppers were an underground thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, when Chopper Town the Sinners came out.
Oh, yeah.
The Sinners had been building and riding them bikes for years. All of a sudden, they're like the flavor of the month. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody wants a 36 Ford spare tire, carrier, cover, rear fender. They want a bait seat, and they want a P-pad. They want a foot shift, or I mean a hand shift and a and a foot clutch, you know, and they want a Wassel peanut tank, you know. But you got these guys, like I say, it was kind of an underground thing because they had been building that style bike for years.
Yeah.
You know, but then all of a sudden it's the next thing.
Well, a lot of the center stuff was kind of like the precursor, and to what I know of this, or what I've been privy to, is that a lot of your vintage or period correct choppers that are very popular now, your Born Free stuff, it's kind of like those guys were influenced by a lot of the centers.
Oh, they were.
You know?
Oh, they were. I mean, all of a sudden, sparkle helmets were like a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've been wearing them for years, you know, finding them at the swap meets and stuff. And so, yeah, there was a lot of things. Ford Model A taillights, you know, with the stop in the top. That was another thing, you know. Especially, I had to laugh because, you know, people had used spare tire covers for, you know, rear fenders forever, you know. And all of a sudden, a $20 spare tire cover like the one that I have over there.
Yeah.
$20, you know, all of a sudden they're $150, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I don't know where we go from there, but I mean that, you know, the influences, I mean, there's people that were always dedicated to it. But my point was that Jesse brought choppers back in a big way. Okay? He introduced a whole new generation to choppers.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, choppers are loud and they're antisocial and they're raucous and they're, you know, they stand out. I mean, it's hard to ignore a chopper, you know. But he brought them back in a big way and he opened up a whole market for people again.
Yeah, and you know? I've yet to meet him personally. One day our paths will cross and that'll be that time. But I saw that because that's when I got into the motorcycle industry, is off of, I think, a lot of what he started, not just like what he was doing with West Coast Choppers, but when all the TV show shit came, he immediately started reaching out. He's bringing everybody up with him or giving them a chance to, right?
Right.
And to me, like I live by that, you know, because whatever success I get through doing a podcast or whatever I do is based on the fact of men like you who tell their story. You know, so it's like build a platform that other people can be, you know, hear their story and find out who they are, right?
Right.
It's just this way of like passing knowledge, if you will. You know what I'm saying? But I admire the fact that he did that, even though he's ridiculed for, like you said, the money he's made, the women he's been with, or the choices he made. You know, it's not like this man was he's a regular guy that fucking did it. You know what I mean?
Well, his work ethic is like extremely strong. You know, and he's also a guy that likes to be challenged. You know, that's why he got into blacksmithing. That's why he got into firearms. That's why he got into all this stuff, you know, besides cars and bikes. Yeah. Because he needed that challenge. And he works really hard. I mean, his work schedule is just like, it's crazy. Yeah. You know, but he brought the whole chopper movement back again, because it was like I was saying, but the point with the Sinners was that the choppers were always there, but it was like an underground thing, and it wasn't very popular, you know. About the middle 70s, a lot of the shops that were building choppers and long bikes switched over to custom vans. Custom vans became like a big thing. So you could see the choppers were kind of starting to die out. You know what I mean? You just didn't see them, you know? And they kind of stumble along as an underground deal until, you know, the 90s.
And was the 90s based on the fact that, you know, buying a new Harley was just damn near impossible at the time?
I think that probably had a lot to do with it. But, you know, it's funny because I've got stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of magazines. Going back years. Yeah. And I just happened to run across, and I'm trying to remember what year it was, and I can't, of Jesse's first feature, where he's pulling the wheelie on the front cover
Hot Bike,
of Hot Bike.
Yeah.
You know, and You know, I've got pictures of Jesse when he worked for Boyd Coddington.
Yeah.
He's got no tattoos. You know what I mean? He's just like a kid.
Yeah.
You know, he's got no tattoos. So
that's crazy. I never took the correlation to like the van movement, like a lot of the chopper guys going into the vans. You know what I'm saying?
a lot of them did.
Yeah.
A lot of them tried to run the businesses like coexisting at the same time.
Yeah.
But there was more money and more market in vans, custom vans and van conversions than there was in choppers. So,
I mean, a lot of the custom painters that I've known from years past were into those conversion vans, that they would paint those fades, and not so much the murals, that was like more the 70s, but like in the 80s, the conversion vans where they put the taller tops and they'd paint them and put the fades and the graphics and shit in them.
Several of the body shops I worked with, or for, I should say, had contracts with a lot of the local dealers, the Ford dealer, Dodge dealer, and we would get like 6 or 7 vans, and the paint shop would they'd go, just do whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's when all the stripes and everything, the candies and the rainbows and all that stuff, the painters would just go nuts, you know, and
exactly.
The more colors, the better. And most of them, because of the production schedule, they were shooting them in lacquer, you know, because it dried fast and, you know, you clear coat it. That's why you see a lot of the early van conversions and stuff like that. The paint's all flaked off of it, you know, because it's old.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't hold up.
Well, it didn't help. Now you got, the A-Team coming out too with their van.
Yeah.
Ripping all over the place. And there was still some culture, like some media culture that also played into, I think, vans getting pretty popular. Or maybe that was built off the back that vans were already popular, so they put that on the TV show, which then kind of spread it to more people.
Over the last several years, vans have made a big comeback.
Oh yeah.
You know,
they're a big part of a lot of the vintage chopper, the period correct chopper stuff that goes on.
Right.
Like my buddy Zach from Heavy Clothing, I was just at their show in Minneapolis, the Full Tilt Boogie, and it's like part choppers and part fucking sick ass vans.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to take a couple really rad photos of some pretty bitchin' stuff when I was in there, so I dig it, man.
No, Zach, I've known Zach for quite a while.
Yeah, Zach's a good dude.
You know, see, this is the thing I like about, and I love about this whole custom scene, let's put it that way, is the amount of people that I've met and that I've run into. You know what I mean? You do this, I've been doing this for what, 53 odd years. Yeah. You run into a lot of people, you know, and over again. People think this is a big world.
It's not. It really
it's not. Yeah. You know, it's just like, you know, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You know what I mean?
6 degrees of separation. Yeah. So, it's wild. Like, I've always been, you know, like, you'll sit down with somebody and do a podcast with them. I'm like, oh, you could text so-and-so right now. I'm like, that's 1 degree of separation right there between me and Brad Pitt or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Do you want Jesse's phone number?
No. Send him a picture of my butthole.
I was, Mike Lichter used to have a Christmas party.
Okay, where did you do that at? Oh, down in Boulder?
In Boulder,
okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, everybody was in town, you know, and he'd have, Joey Pearce was there, and he did a lot of work for Billy Lane.
Okay.
And he was doing that at the party. He's going, well, I can call Billy right now. He's going, here, watch. He's going, Billy wouldn't answer the phone. You don't have to put that in there, but I mean,
no, it's all good.
Yeah, Billy wouldn't answer the phone.
Well, you know, funny thing, like, so I got to get a little closer with, you know, Michael Lichter last summer. You know, last year was the first time he didn't do the motorcycles as art, but he still came out, supported it. He had some of his work on display, and man, really took me under his wing. You know, I'm a huge fan of his photography and photography in general. So he just kind of, we walked the whole show. You know, he showed me what he thought about certain images, you know, like, which taught me a lot of like critiquing, if you will. But a funny thing that we talked about is like his first time going to Sturgis. And like you said, you've only missed, what, 5 times since 1982?
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah, since 82.
What has that transition looked like? My first time was 14, right? So this is my 10th year. I can't imagine, because it looks kind of the same as it did 10 years ago, but I can't imagine what it looks like 40 years ago. You know what I mean?
Well, around in the early 80s, it was like 29 or 30,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, pretty steady, you know. And then when they had all the problems in 82 with the camping in City Park, and they were burning the porta potties and stuff, you know, I mean, it used to be wild out there at City Park. I mean, that was like the best place on earth.
Where else did people camp at the time? I mean, you can't fit that many people in fucking City Park.
No, but they had some campgrounds.
Okay.
You know, they had campgrounds. Plus, you used to be able to camp up and down Boulder Canyon.
Okay.
Because it's national forest. Well, you can't do that.
That's the canyon that goes into Deadwood, right?
Right, from Sturgis to Deadwood.
Because I'd still every once in a while see someone just kind of cut up in there, you know, with a tent up every once in a while.
Yeah, well, it's national forest, you know, but you've got no facilities, and you can't have fires, and you know. But it wasn't until 1990, and they never expected it to be as big for the 50th anniversary as it was. You know, they got over 500,000 people.
Damn.
In Sturgis, you know.
So by 1990, was there a buffalo chip and all these other out, you know?
Yeah, the chip was going.
Okay.
Because after and I hope I've got the history timeline right here, when they had that at City Park.
Yeah.
The trouble in City Park, Woody said, well, I got all this land. And he says, I'll tell you what, you know, I'll take all these wild people way out of town. Well, it's not way out of town, but I mean, at that time, it was way out of town, you know. And when he first started, he had like the land and I think a tractor trailer truck flatbed.
For a stage or something like that.
That was it.
Nice.
You know. And it grew from there, but the 50th anniversary was when this place exploded.
Okay.
And it never really slowed down until now. So, you know, I've seen the rally go through, you know, a lot of growth stages and that, you know. I mean, even COVID didn't slow it down.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like the city of Sturgis said, well, we don't know if we're going to have the rally or not. You know, Woody says, hey, I'm open. And the rest of the campgrounds goes, well, we're going to be open, you know. And so the city couldn't stop it anyways.
Yeah, people to come regardless of whether things were open.
Oh, yeah. So they finally capitulated and, you know, gave in.
I camped that year. I had a great time.
Yeah.
You know, we stayed at Days End. And a lot of my friends, that was their first year coming to Sturgis. And it was a breath of fresh air from just like getting away from how things were being portrayed through media and shit. I mean, I think the media was saying that all of us at Sturgis that year, we were the super spreaders and
that's what they were trying to say, you know. And then
that we were killing people.
Especially Minnesota. Yeah. You know, because the largest group of people that come to the rally is from Minnesota.
For real?
Yeah. That's the largest attendees.
Damn.
Are from Minnesota. You would think like, you know, Colorado is just 400 miles away.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, there's the Midwest states and stuff, and you would think that it'd be one of them.
After being in Minnesota with, like I said, with Zach again, like that's a big state for motorcycling.
Oh, it is.
It's got a lot of history there too. A lot of OG, you know, Donnie Smith, and you know, a lot of younger, newer guys there too. And then you got, you know, then you go to the border over there, Sioux City, and you know all that stuff. And then Iowa's I think Iowa's a badass state for motorcycling. Like a lot of cool shops and people I know there. You know.
Well, you've got Jeff right there.
Jeff, yeah, I ate some tacos at his bar a couple of weeks ago.
And you know, Don Hotop used to be there at what was the town he lived in? Right by the river.
Yeah, yeah.
He was just on this side of the river.
Like Davenport area or something like that, or the other side?
No, the other way.
Okay, so Sioux City?
No. Oh, well, I guess
Council Bluffs, things like that.
It's not important.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, There's great painters out there too. You know, you got Darren McKeag out there in Davenport, I think, or all that mess. So,
well, you got John Kosmosky. If you want to talk House of Color,
yeah.
You know, good friend of mine, Butch Brinza, who's one of the probably, you know, Junior Conway calls him the best painter in the world, and that's coming from Junior Conway, who I think is the best painter in the world. But anyways, Butch had a shop in, he started working with Von Dutch when he was a kid, but he had a shop in Milwaukee. Actually, I think it was Cudahy. It's on the other side of the river. So he and John Kosmosky started out about the same time.
Yeah.
And you know, Butch says, well, you know, when you get a case like that, he said, we would have like the big ISCA shows, and he said they'd be, you know, in Chicago, in Detroit, in Milwaukee. And he said, you know, you go to Milwaukee, you go to Chicago. He said, you know, between Kosmosky and myself, he said, we had 3/4 of the cars that were on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he said, when it comes to that, he said, you either hate the guy or you become really good friends. And he said, we became like really good friends.
Yeah.
You know? And in one of Kosmosky's early Learn to Paint books, he mentions Butch as being one of the best pearl painters in the world.
Yeah, that's the good old days of pearl with Murano pearls and things like that.
Oh, Butch still has a bag of Murano pearl.
I got a couple friends that have some stashes in the fridge. They keep on hand. That stuff goes so far too. So
oh yeah, Butch just goes like this. He just goes,
do a whole damn motorcycle with that.
Yeah, that's how he does it. And Butch is an excellent painter too. He painted the Blue Flame Land Speed record car for Gary Galovich, and he's painted. He's had more rods and bikes on the covers of magazines as you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
You know, and he does all the Wig Ellers paint. Always has. And yeah, Butch has got a long history. Really good.
So, you know, back at Sturgis, it's like, what, you know, 82, let's just use that as an example. So you're at, you know, you had your city park, there's a couple other campgrounds. What did people do for fun? Like, what was the, I mean, what was the drive to come there?
You had Deadwood too.
Okay, Deadwood was going on then
too. A lot
too.
of the 1%ers hung in Deadwood.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, City Park was an event in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, when you've got people out there pouring gasoline across, you know, well, it's Lozelle and then it turns into 34, but it's City Park. When you've got people pouring gasoline across, we'll say Lozelle, across Lozelle and then lighting it and then having people ride back and forth through it, you know, that's fun.
Yeah.
They had drag racing in the park.
Yeah.
Down the paths, you know.
Yeah, dirt drags, stuff like that.
No, this was on like the asphalt paths.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I mean, like they're like racing here, and the guy's got his tent set up like 2 feet away from the walkway. You know what I mean? I saw one guy go into a tent, and the whole tent went up, you know, in flames. And what else? Oh, they'd haul. See, this was one of the things you've got to understand, and it's still prevalent today. Half the people love the rally; they're glad to see it come. You know, they realize the benefits of the rally and they enjoy it. And then you've got the other half that hate the rally. They wish it'd go away, wish it had never come here. You know what I mean? So with City Park, they used to bring in a couple flatbeds.
Yeah.
And they'd have bands up there playing and stuff, but then they'd bring the chicks up and they're doing the wet t-shirt and the, you know, topless shows, and they're doing, you know, cucumber contests and stuff like that. All right. Well, everybody going up and down Lozelle, they can see all this going on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that, you know, this is, it's not the Bible Belt, but there's a lot of, you know,
yeah, I know what you mean. But so I just didn't know if there was like, were there like bars inside of like downtown Sturgis that people would kind of run back and forth to? And things like that?
The Oasis was there. Gunner's was right on the corner where Hot Leathers is at Junction and Main Street. That was always a big place.
Yeah.
Then the Oasis was big. The Dungeon Bar was big. They used to have the Pyramid Bar down where One Eye Jack's is now. That place was jumping. Yeah, they were all over the place.
Oh, that's cool.
You know.
Yeah, so you said like all the clubs pretty much hung out in Deadwood. And you were saying that there was a lot more camaraderie amongst the clubs at that time in Sturgis. Was it just like a more of a, hey, like here we just, this is like a, how would you say it, like a, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you know.
Well, it wasn't without incidents.
Yeah.
You know, okay. There were a couple times where people were squaring off on, both sides of the street. But, level heads prevailed, But I don't know how to put it. Deadwood was kind of more rough-hewn, I guess, than Sturgis was.
Yeah.
Excuse me here. But then Deadwood started enacting a lot of laws and stuff.
Yeah.
That there wasn't any parking.
Yeah.
On the street in Deadwood. You had to park in the parking lot and either walk into town or take the shuttle in. Couldn't park on the street, and that was, kind of a repercussion. And then they still had a bordello. And prostitution was still legal at Deadwood. So, they had the house, and it was pretty popular. And what else? Oh, well, the drag races were actually in Belfouche. They weren't next to Glen Cove then. And most of the time, if there was a conflict between the clubs, they would take it
out of town.
That's
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
like you said, level heads prevailed. They didn't want to, ruin what everybody had in Sturgis and whatnot like this.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But when I bought my place up here, I was actually looking for like a large shop with an attached house, okay? And we started looking because the house values in the Metro Denver area were going sky high.
Yeah.
But people were paying stupid money for places. Actually, the people that bought our house paid $20,000 over the asking price to get the house.
Damn.
That's how stupid it was, money-wise.
Yeah.
So we actually looked at the place across the street. And my realtor from Rapid City, she said, there's a contract on that house. She said, but the one across the street should be going on the market in like a week or two here. And she said, when it does, she said, my girlfriend's handling it. I'll give you a call. And she called. So my wife came up over Labor Day weekend, and we had done a Zoom tour of it.
Okay. What year did you move? Like post 2020?
3 years ago.
Okay, so
be 3 years in
21.
September.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's right when everybody's shit was going up. In the country, it seems like everybody was moving. You know.
Fortunately, we got in here about a year before the prices got stupid up here.
Oh, okay.
So, so we were fortunate in that respect. But I said, well, if we in Denver, I said, well, if we sell the house, where are we going to move? I said, everybody's going to Austin. I don't want to go to Austin.
Yeah.
And she said, you know where I'd really like to go? I said, tell me. And she goes, Sturgis. I said, well, I'm all for that.
Yeah, for sure.
So fortunately, we were able to get this place, and I have, it's like, 3,800 square feet.
Yeah.
I got an upstairs and a downstairs. I got 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. you know,
Yeah.
an acre and a half of land and a shop that I can do what I do
Yeah.
legally.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, that was an important factor in making the move.
Yeah. And how's it been for you building bikes? I mean, I mean, obviously you have this one you just finished here. The long project we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
but like, what's your day-to-day like with, do you have like customers coming in to do small little projects here and there? Or is it, or
Well,
what?
every once in a while, you know, and then this area that we live in here, Blacksburg Mountain Estates, there's like a little over 200 residents.
Mm-hmm.
And people will stop by and they'll go, hey, I've got a Generac and I want to put it on a rack that, you know, get it off the ground, 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
So I'll build that for them, you know, or I'll do a little welding job here, welding job there. But, you know, fortunately, coming up here, the clientele followed.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So, you know, and then some of these guys I've built like the one, I've been waiting for like a couple months for this guy to come up here. He's got 2 shovelhead bikes that he wants built, one for himself and one for his son.
Mm-hmm.
And I've built him 5 bikes.
Yeah.
And he has all of them.
That's cool.
You know?
Gets to keep them all.
Yeah. And, you know, I'll have those coming in and, you know, I'll get projects in to...
So when you took Jesse James's advice to start your own shop, like,
yeah,
how did that go? Like, did you kind of jump pretty quick and start getting some builds, or
no,
how did it?
not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I struggled in the beginning, and a fella named Pete Slaktowitz, who I knew, not extremely well, but I knew him.
Yeah.
Owned High Country Custom Cycles in Denver.
Yeah.
And he said, he called me up one day and he goes, Rich, he goes, I heard you went out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
He's going, listen, he's going, I got like all these bikes in here. And he said, I just don't want to do the custom stuff anymore. He said, I don't have time to do it. I'm really losing the interest in it. He's going, would you like subcontract a lot of these jobs and stuff, you know? And it's, you know, like framework and stuff like that, modifications, sheet metal, you know, like Frisco in the tanks and stuff like that, and exhaust systems, you know, because I build almost all the stuff I build from scratch to fit the bike. And so every time I go back with something, he'd have something else for me. Here, take this, you know. This is what the guy wants, and this, and this, you know.
Yeah.
And he'd give them to Brian to paint, you know, because he was real close to his shop. But he kept me going, feeding me work like that. And I don't know if he really didn't want to do it or if he just wanted to see me get up and going.
Yeah, yeah.
But he kept me pretty busy for about a year. So during that first year, I was slowly building up, you know.
All the stuff you needed, yeah.
Yeah, and I had most of the tooling.
That's cool.
You know, there were a few things I had to buy, like I didn't have a tubing bender, you know, so I bought that. And, you know, I had the MIGs and, you know, then I bought the TIG, you know, but...
Yeah, you got like a little Syncrowave 200 over here that I've never seen one that clean. That thing looks brand new.
And that's, I think I bought that in like 2004 or 5.
Serious? That old?
Yeah.
Golly.
No, I like to take care of my stuff. I mean, I go into a lot of shops and it looks like somebody dragged it out of the Titanic. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what I was getting at, man. My first welder was that I bought used. And had to end up selling it, which I didn't. But those things resurged in price. Those are going for like $25 to $3,000 still.
Yeah, well, that TIG welder, oh my God, I don't know how much how much filler or how many miles of welds I've done with that thing.
Yeah.
It's been flawless.
Yeah.
You know, I bought that. They gave me a smoking deal at the welding supply company.
Yeah.
Because I had already bought 3 welders from them. And they gave me a smoking deal. They practically gave it to me.
Nice.
Because they know I'd come back and I'd get my tanks refilled and my filler rod and my gloves and my goggles and
Yeah, all your stuff.
yeah, all my consumables. And they gave me a smoking deal on it, and it's done everything that I can expect it to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I bought it, Rick Labriola machine that does the LA jockey shifts.
Yeah.
He said, "Did you find your TIG yet?" I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "Well, what'd you get?" I said, "I got a Synchro 200." He goes, "Well, you'd have to know Rick." Okay.
Yeah.
He goes, "You should have got the 250." I said, "Rick, okay." I said, I'm not doing a lot of aluminum work like you do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need 250. I don't need a water cooler. You know what I mean? And it's going to handle pretty much everything I want to do. I said, if I've got to weld something that I can't use this TIG for, I said, I still got my my Miller 210 MIG. He goes, MIG? He goes, those are for fence builders and garbage dumpster builders. He says, you don't want to. I said, all right. But you'd have to know, Rick.
Yeah.
I love Rick dearly. Okay, no slight against him, but I mean, he's so funny. You know, should have bought the 250 right away. Always buy bigger than you need. You know, but he's right. But I mean, like I said, I couldn't pass that deal up.
Yeah. That's a pretty common machine in a lot of custom motorcycle builders places. So that's why whenever I saw one and I could afford it, I was like, I jumped right on it. You know,
it's a good machine. You know, it's got pulse, it's got everything in it. You know, and now, I mean, this thing is an antique now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't think it is. I mean, it's as fresh as it looks.
You know, ESAB and Miller and Lincoln.
Yeah.
They've got 275s that are the size of this 90 Miller 90 over here.
So on this round, I ended up buying a Everlast. I got their 210 as well, and it's literally the size of your Miller-Matic over there.
Yeah.
And does aluminum and all that stuff. And I don't know, like it's an entry-level welder. It was very cheap, but it has all the doodads and all the stuff you know, like that has a lot of the pulse and all those kind of things. So for me, it's if it works well and I feel like I need something bigger, if it doesn't handle the job, then I'll look into like a Miller, but you know.
Yeah. Well, this, like I say, this does everything that I want.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've gone over the duty cycle a couple times on it, you know, where the fan has come on and I've had to wait, you know, but that was my fault. Okay. Got to get this frame done. Got to get this out of here, you know. But it does everything that that I want. You know, I'm pretty much self-taught as far as the welding and stuff goes. I mean, you know, I started out on oxyacetylene welding. Then I went to stick, which I haven't done for centuries. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I went to, when I got, you know, heavy in the body trades. Well, that's why I bought the little Miller here. Because, you know, each shop would have 2 or 3 welders. Well, if you've got a shop with like 8 body guys in there, somebody's always using the welders. You know what I mean? And, you know, the name of the game in a production shop is getting the cars in, fixing them, and getting the cars to paint.
Yeah.
You know? And we're going to stand around waiting for a welder or whatever, you know, and you've already got 5 cars, you can't take another one.
Yeah.
You know? So I bought this one for me.
And that's good for the tack welding and the, you know, rosette welds that a lot of like panel replacements would use, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the standard of the body shop industry is a MIG welder.
Yeah.
You know, because all the steel is HSLA, it's high strength, low alloy.
Yeah.
You know, this welder actually, and this welder is ancient. I bought this in like 92.
Damn. Also very, very clean.
Well, but if you know how to weld, you can take that on the highest setting. Now, you can't go over the duty cycle on it, you know what I mean? But you can put that on the highest setting, and you can weld 3/16 to 1/4 inch steel with this. And the welds look almost as good as a TIG weld does. But you got to watch the duty cycle because it isn't that high on there. I forget what it is, but the duty cycle isn't that high before it shuts off. And if you bevel the pieces and run a root pass and then a fill pass, it's never gonna come apart.
Damn. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think one of my next projects is building me a frame table. You know what I mean, and getting stuff ready. I'm still a ways away from doing any frames, but this would be a good welding table in general. And then whenever I do get a frame and get like a little jig set up on it, you know what I mean?
When I built this, I actually patterned it after an old Iron Horse magazine feature when Snow was the editor, had Stag and Larry stretching the frame and putting a frame together for his Voodoo Chili bike, right? And they had, the jig was like this. Yeah. Right? So this is what I patterned it after. All these holes that are in the surface here, there's all these fixtures, if you look over there, there's all these fixtures that bolt onto here, plus a tower for the neck and whatever. So it's laid out so I can bolt through the front motor mounts, the transmission mount, all the other holes are for fixtures to hold things, and the tubing bender goes on here. But I mean, when I'm just welding, but if I've got framework to do, then all the fixtures come out and I bolt on what I need. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I got dozens and dozens of frames out there that have been out there for, say, 20, 25 years. Yeah. Okay. And the earliest ones are all MIG welded. Yeah. They've never come apart. Yeah. You know. Yeah, I don't really know what the draw was. I mean, maybe this the TIG welding, it's finer. You can fine tune it down, and you know. But MIG, yeah. I mean, that's what I learned on originally. You know what I mean? Being in a body shop, I remember the first time I ever welded something. I tried to make me a rail to skate on. And my dad, who is the body man I used to work for, when he would tack things on, he would just look away or close his eyes. I never noticed that. I'm just sitting there. Oh no. 2 days, couldn't see a fucking thing. Learned real quick. It took me 5 years after that to ever even want to touch a welder. I had a buddy that welded pipe, big pipeline. And he was with a brand new apprentice, and he, because this guy was green pea. Yeah. And he says, I want you, he said, to go in this pipe. He said, and I want you to see the penetration that I'm getting on the first pass. He said, I want you to watch that from the inside, okay? So he was welding for a couple minutes, and he says, okay, do you see what I'm talking about? And he said the guy came out like this. He had no fucking welding helmet on, no goggles, no nothing. The guy came out, and he's like, oh, good. Pretty much me right there. Yeah. Yeah, I learned the hard way. I was lucky that I was able to, I didn't have any permanent damage, but yeah, it was pretty scary at first. Well, you'll see a lot of guys, and I'm a stickler. I always wear my helmets regardless of what kind of welding I'm doing, and always have gloves. Yeah. Because there's a lot of radiation when you're welding, and eventually it might get you. Yeah. There's a good possibility. Let's put it that way. So this bike here, man, this, I saw you were just wrapped this one up for Sturgis this year, right? Is it, where's it going to be at? Like, well, you know what? It should be. Should be. It should be at all the shows. Okay. Okay. But it's not, because I have to apply for what South Dakota calls a rebuilt title. Oh, fuck. Because there's no title. Yeah. It's got 17 digits on the frame. This is an old chassis design company frame. Before Anthony turned into, he sold it, and then he started Tin Works down there in, is that in Texas or Florida? Not sure. Might be Florida. Yeah. Anyways, you got to turn in all your receipts and that, for the major components and anything else that you bought. And then the state processes it, and they notify you to come in for the actual. They make sure all the paperwork is kosher, okay?
Yeah.
Then they notify you to come in for a physical inspection on the numbers, frame, transmission, and engine.
Yeah.
Well, they only do, it's so stupid, they only do the inspections on the third Wednesday of the month. So I turned my paperwork in the middle of June, right? The third Wednesday in the month in July came and went, and no notification. And I still haven't gotten a notification.
Damn.
So now it looks like it's going to be August, which is way past the...
Well, could you throw it on the trailer and take it to any of the shows, or?
Well, what I'm going to do is, Randy was over here from
Cycle Showcase?
Cycle Showcase St.
Yeah.
Louis. Randy stopped in here with Cabana Dan, and we were talking about it because Dan said, "Did you get your inspection?" And I said, "No." And Randy says, "Well," he's going, "You don't have to have it inspected to put it in my Cycle Showcase Sturgis."
Yeah.
And he said, I'd be glad to have it in there. So that's where it's going to be.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been wanting to go to his show for the last couple of years now,
and that's going to be at the Steel Pony Campground.
Yeah,
You
right
get
there
that
off
plug
of
in there.
Yeah.
It's the old.
That's where they got the pool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, swimming pool there.
Not a lot of shade, but they do have a pool.
They got that big cabana thing right there. You can
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure where he's going to set it up, but it's going to go all week long.
Supposedly they closed that whole little big cabana in now. Like it's an indoor thing right there. You know how they had that big awning thing? It's all closed in now, I guess. I haven't been over there yet.
Yeah, it was like a roof on stilts.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the way most of the bars are in these.
Man, last year, Sturgis, the rain last year was just gnarly.
Well, you were here.
Yeah, I was here last year. It just rained every fucking day, it seemed like.
Well, it rained from the Wednesday before to the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And then it cleared out.
Yeah, and remember I was telling you, that's when I
and that's
come
when
in
you
and
left.
leave. Yeah.
Well, at least you had nice weather to ride home in.
Yeah.
But that was miserable. I only remember in all the years I've been coming up here one rally where it was like that. It was like the mid-90s, I think.
Yeah. The year prior to that, it was like the perfect weather. It was nice and cool. I was able to, I don't know. I like coming here, especially in Texas. It's 100-something degrees as soon as May hits.
Yeah.
And so you come up here, and if I could wear a sweatshirt or something like that, some long sleeves, and have a nice cool ride especially when you get up in the hills.
Right.
I just love that. That's one of my favorite parts about coming out here is just getting some of that cooler weather.
Well, when Jesse did Motorcycle Mania 2, it was Jesse and Indian Larry and Giuseppe from Freeway Magazine in Italy and Chopper Dave, and they rode from Long Beach
to here.
And I'm trying to think, what the hell is it? I can't remember. They used to have the Camel Roadhouse up here.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you used to have the cigarette companies that dumped a lot of money into Sturgis back in the day.
Well, they did, and then they started all that. Well, you can sponsor 2 motor-related types of events, like you can do like Sturgis and flat track racing, but you can't do NASCAR.
Yeah.
See what I mean? And that
really
kinda
fucked us because they were a big contributor of money into our custom industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially Camel cigarettes. They were all in. That was when Camel was sponsoring the AMA Camel Pro Series.
Yeah.
Flat track racing.
Yeah.
And no, they were heavy at here. But Chopper Dave said to me, he says, I'm going to ride to Sturgis with everybody.
Yeah.
He said, well, what do I need to bring? I said, you need to bring your summer stuff and you need to bring your winter stuff.
Yeah.
And he's going, winter stuff? He's going, I don't have any winter stuff. He's
from Southern Cali.
He's from Southern California.
Yeah.
He's from Burbank and he went to Long Beach, and I said, well, you better get some, Dave. I said, because I've ridden out of here at 7:30 in the morning and it's already 85 degrees.
Yeah.
And I've ridden out of here in pouring rain when it's 38 degrees.
Yep.
And the higher elevations, the road is starting to get ice on it. I said, so, just take that with a grain of salt, man.
Yeah.
You better hustle some up, And he's going, God, I don't even know if my leather jacket fits anymore. He sent me a picture, and he's like, he's like this, I'm going, you better find another jacket, Dave.
Yeah.
He cracked me up. But, yeah, last year I remember one year up here, it was so hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was over like 100 almost every day.
Yeah.
And we had ridden from Denver to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And we spent like 2 days in Cody, 3 days in Yellowstone. Then we rode from Yellowstone to here. Mm-hmm. And it was hot all the way.
Yeah.
The only relief we got was climbing up and over the Bighorns and coming out at Sheridan.
I like that road. Yeah.
Wyoming.
Nice. We went here to Red Lodge once and got to ride Bighorn the opposite way that you would have came. Man, there's 3 really good rides right there between that, Beartooth, and Chief Joseph Highway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People don't know what they're missing, you know. And that's why it's really, I mean, it's nice to come up for Sturgis.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to come up here in June or September, you know, or July.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody here. I mean, there's some touristas in that, and you might have to, spend a little bit of time behind a motorhome or a fifth wheel until you can pass. But I mean, other than that, it's just beautiful up here.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I believe, either 2 or 3 weeks ago, I've already lost track. I've been on the road so long. I was literally in Red Lodge, and we did the pass into Cody, basically. And I was breaking off from a group of friends that I had rode with from Washington all the way to there. And I was like, man, Sturgis is right there. I'm in Cody, right? And I was going to go, and I went down to Denver. That was the plan.
Yeah.
I was like, I could probably jump over here, meet you, go do this stuff with Keith, ride the Black Hills before the fucking people get here.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I knew because I was making my way to New York, I was going to come back anyway. And I just ended up, I didn't know if once I came back here, I would want to go to Denver, other than just going right back home. So.
Well, that trip I was talking about from to Yellowstone and then to here, 2 nights we were trying to go to sleep and it was like 98 degrees.
Damn. Yeah.
All night long.
You camping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we dragged everything out of the tents and we're sleeping naked next to the tents. I mean, that's how hot it was.
Oh, man.
Being in that tent was like being in a Swedish sauna.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. That's the hottest that I can remember it up here.
You spent 3 nights in Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Where'd y'all go? Just like hit the campgrounds or just stayed in one spot and went out and came back or what?
No, we went to Old Faithful.
Yeah.
Stayed in the Old Faithful Lodge.
Okay.
Then we went up to Roosevelt.
All right.
At the north end and stayed in the cabin for a night. Then we came down to, I can't remember.
The Tetons area?
No, in the park. And I'm trying to it's like the central place. I can't remember.
Where West Yellowstone comes and hits that main road in there?
No, it's right in the center of the park. And I can't think of it now. That's where everything is. They got the laundromat. They got the sporting goods store. They got the supermarket. They've got,
Yeah, I haven't been to that.
Canyon.
Okay.
See, I'm kind of like a running Windows 98 here, okay? Not even second edition, all right? I'm still running on a 5.5-inch floppy disk, okay? It takes a little bit to retrieve
That's a good analogy.
The knowledge, okay? It's in here, it won't come out. And Canyon.
Yeah.
That's where it's like the parking lots are huge and they've got like everything, restaurants and clothing stores and gift shops and it's like a little town. And we stayed in the cabin there.
Nice.
At Canyon. Then we left out early the next morning. We went to. This was our plan. We had it all figured out and it worked well. We rode from Yellowstone back through Cody, through Grable, and then up and over. The Bighorns that came out at Sheridan. And we stayed at the Super 8 in Sheridan, and we had sent all our clean clothes and stuff to Sheridan to the Super 8.
Okay.
So we took all the dirty stuff out of our bags, and we took the clean stuff out, put the dirty stuff in the box, taped the box up, walked 2 blocks down the street.
Shipped it all home?
The UPS store. Yeah. And it was there when we got home.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's how we did that.
That's what we used to do with that, the little gun store in Sturgis that has the UPS or FedEx or something in it, right there on Lozelle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing. Just ship some things in that I need, or ship out extra shit I bought that ain't gonna fit on the bike. Well,
I don't know about all the rest of the campgrounds, but Hog Heaven has a UPS pickup there. You can ship like your tent, your sleeping bags, and all that stuff you don't want to ride with them.
Yeah.
To Hog Heaven, and you pick it up at that little place.
That's smart to do, because that's the one thing that we've never shipped our tents and stuff there, but we would ship like all the extra clothes and shit we'd buy out here, and we didn't want to have to pack it. But it's good to be able to do that, because a good comfortable tent you're going to spend 5 days in.
Oh yeah.
You want to be able to at least stand up in it and change and organize and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. We also did send our tent up here.
Nice.
And we have blankets so that weren't that bulky.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we didn't need a sleep bag. Like I said, it was 98 degrees when we went to bed. I came
here in 17 and froze my ass off. I was freezing every night. We stayed at the Days End again, and I swear I was beanie. There was a Dollar General around the corner. I went and buy extra blankets. Like, I was just freezing my ass off on that year. But I would prefer that,
Well, you never know. You never know what you're going to get up here.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it could be like this hot. Like, I don't even know what the temperature is right now. It's pretty hot.
It's not too. We just don't have a breeze. We had to turn all the fans off for the podcast, so.
It's 91 degrees.
91 appears a different animal.
So right now, like within 10 minutes, it could be like Deadwood was yesterday with a foot of water.
Yeah, we were, like I said, we were at the lodge yesterday when that storm came through. We had a perfect rainbow come out of nowhere, right? And I jumped out there, started taking pictures of the bike with it all. So.
Oh, sure.
My helmet, I left it outside when it did it. It soaked on the inside. That's why I didn't ride with a helmet over here.
Well, the riding up here, I rode probably up until about 98 or 99. Mm-hmm. Never wore a helmet.
Yeah.
My wife never wore a helmet. Unless we were in a state like Nebraska where it was mandatory helmet.
Yeah.
That was the only time we wore them. And then, right around 98, 99, I guess I started feeling my mortality. Mm. Okay? And I thought, you know what? You've probably pushed your luck to the point where you should probably put a helmet on.
Yeah.
And I've worn one ever since. I mean, I'm pro-choice. You know what I mean? Yeah. But up here with so many first-timers and yahoos and drunks and, not only on the motorcycles, but, the cars and the trucks and everybody else, probably a good idea to have a helmet.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just got used to wearing it.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with me. Like, when I first got on Harleys, I was like, hell yeah, we don't have to wear a helmet. Like, this feels badass. And then I came off of sport bikes where it felt weird not to wear a helmet.
Right.
And so around 16, we all started wearing a helmet. Or I started wearing a helmet through a buddy of mine got me hooked up with this Simpson brand that I'm really close with now. And literally now when I don't wear a helmet, I feel very vulnerable. I feel like, oh man, like something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I'm way more aware of it not being there than I ever was before.
Well, guys from California would stop and see me or spend a couple days with me when I was in Colorado. Colorado's it used to be a no helmet law state.
Yeah.
And then they introduced that everybody under 18 had to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
That was the compromise between passing a full mandatory helmet and...
So we have something like that in Texas where it's like a certain age, then you're supposed to have like a life insurance policy of certain amount of money.
Well, it's like Florida, same way.
So
you're supposed to be able to prove medical coverage, I think, in Florida.
Yeah.
Somebody write in and go, that's not right.
Yeah.
It's this, you know.
Yeah.
So, because it's going on social media and there'll always be some smarty pants, you know.
Yeah,
that's not right. He said that wrong.
It is what it is. You can't, you know, if they could pick up a magazine back in 1991 and write down next to every article they read what they thought was right and wrong and stupid and cool and not cool, and I mean, it's just a difference. Like, people just don't know how to just, you know, like you probably get a test. It's like, you know, growing up I was born in 82, so your first year going to Sturgis, you know, my family always say, hey, if you don't got something nice to say, don't say anything at all. So if I don't like your motorcycle, I'm not going to say shit on social media, you know?
No. And I'll tell you what, you know, especially if you're, you know, in a position like I am, if you say something bad about a builder's bike or how he did something, or even unless it's like totally deadly modification, okay, then I might say something because I think I'm obligated to. But if you say something about somebody's bike in this industry or them or wherever, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the ass tenfold, okay? Yeah. So I refrain.
Yeah.
You know.
And it doesn't make anything better. It doesn't push, you know, it doesn't make anything better for the long run for any of us.
I don't need to feel better by doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do. Some people can't wait to say, oh, this is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're that wrong. You know, I never make comments. Like, I see, you know, gee, who welded that? Ray Charles? You know what I mean? Or Stevie Wonder? Who was that? You know? But unless it's a total death trap, I won't.
Yeah.
You know, won't say anything. But I think that I'm obligated to do that. I'm going, you know, those welds for neck welds are really suspect, okay?
Yeah, well, there's ways you can do that without it sounding or coming off like you're trying to get attention for yourself. Like when you comment on someone's post or someone's picture, that's like you saying, hey, I want everybody else to see how much smarter I am than this person. But if you send that person a message in regards to something you saw in their deal, it's more of a private conversation.
Yeah, I think if it was like truly bad, I would send a direct message or at least try and reach out like that, you know.
That way you're not trying to embarrass them.
Right.
You know.
And then if you say, why don't you fuck off? I go, okay.
Yeah, all right.
You know. Literally, it's your funeral, man.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
But I found that out way early.
Yeah. Yeah, growing up with the social media, if you will, you know, as like my generation's tool to get our name out there. You know, when I started customizing bikes, magazines were definitely still around, but we weren't quite, or at least myself, I wasn't quite good enough to really grace too many of the pages. You know what I'm saying yet? And by the time I feel like I got my skills to a good level, it was kind of like the end of the era, you know, of magazines. But I'm a huge fan of magazines. I got a lot of love for them, and I still buy the ones that exist today, you know?
Well, I'll, as far as the magazines go, there was one magazine that made a resurgence a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And I bought like the first 3 issues.
Yeah.
And I have never bought another one since. It's still going.
For real? Because
the content was just, I don't know.
I know what you mean, and not to say anything negative and literally do what we just talked about, but I feel like there's ways of telling better stories, photographing more of the lifestyle that's associated with these motorcycles, finding a way to share the history in ways that I think people are choosing the easy route a lot of times. Like they don't want to spend time that like say for instance you, like if I had a magazine, I would come and I would ask you, hey, I want to come up to Sturgis, not on the rally. I want to spend a day or two with you. Let's ride around. Let's see your bikes. I want to photograph you and your motorcycles. I want to hear your stories. And I want to write something that's much more like you're not going to get this anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, the bike's there. You're going to get all the details of the bike, but you're getting more about the builder, right? And see the bike with the builder. It's not just like this really pretty spot you found in the meadow over there to go get some shots. Like there's this actual photos of you on the bike, riding, doing things. It sells it more. So when you see Jesse James on the cover fucking ripping a wheelie, that, oh shit, like that's...
Well, you want to look inside the magazine.
Exactly.
And then you notice the other content. You know, Frank Keisler, who was the editor of Hot Rod Bikes and American Iron, and he did a stint at Easy Riders when Keith Ball wasn't there, and then he came back. And he was on the staff before he was the editor of Easy Riders. And Frank was a really good friend of mine, and I really miss Frank a lot. And, you know, Frank he knew magazines, he knew them inside and out.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, he would tell me stuff like, when you're going to photograph a motorcycle, he said, turn that front end, he said, straight ahead. He said, not to the left, not to the right. He said, straight ahead when you're taking your photographs. And he goes, and stay out of the chrome. He goes, nobody wants to see you in the chrome reflection.
Yeah. Be mindful of that.
But Frank would always make sure that there was a riding shot on the cover and a riding shot for every feature.
Yeah.
To show that wasn't a stagnant display.
Yeah.
To show that it was actually a bike that could be ridden, you know? And that's how I feel, man. If you can't ride this bike, or it's not going to start, or it isn't running when you put it in a show or whatever, it's worthless. It's worthless. That's not what motorcycles are for.
Yeah.
You know, they're to be ridden. So, you know, but Frank would always make a point of that. Frank was, he knew the business, you know.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, like I said, I've been doing the deep dives and buying the old Easy Riders and trying to build that whole collection up of just having the old mags, you know what I'm saying? And I got a big wall in my shop that's just all the old David Manns and stuff from like the 80s and early 90s and before they went to the trifolds and stuff like that in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I just dig it. I don't know. I think magazines could definitely have a home in the world now. I just think that they have to be done differently due to the fact that social media is what it is and YouTube is what it is, that like certain things will always have a home on pages and certain things won't, you know?
Well, here's the point, is that with social media, and I remember one time I was on the hot bike tour and they had me everybody fill out like this, you know, what's your favorite food and what's your shoe size. I mean, it had all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it says, what do you think the two best things are today as far as motorcycles are concerned? And I said, you know, the DVDs and social media. And they said, what do you think are the worst things about the motorcycles today? And I said, the DVDs and the social media.
Yeah.
You know, why does somebody, with so many people at the events, like take Born Free, for example, so many people there taking photographs and stuff. And, well, you can't do it there at the ranch because there's no cell phone service there. But as soon as they get back to their house or back to their room, they're putting it on social media, right? You've already seen everything.
Yeah.
All right. Probably the same bike 10 times over on people's social media pages.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which I don't do. But why would you want to go 2 months later and buy a magazine that has the same pictures in it?
Yeah.
When you've already got your favorites or whatever stored.
I think it's the way, like most people that shoot with their phones, like they're capturing the spike in a certain way, but I think the way that it's presented to the world, maybe not for the first time because that's going to be social media with like camera phones and stuff, but
Right.
the way you could show this thing through actual photography, and I just think you can create a different vibe, and it's not going to be for everybody.
True.
Like I don't think you make a magazine now in hopes of selling 50,000 copies. I think you make a magazine if you have a decent name. Maybe you hope to sell 5,000 copies and be content with that. You know,
that was always the push for the magazines was the ad income
but now
and circulation. See, so.
Exactly. So what I think is the new. I mean, Dice Magazine's a great example of it, right? They have some people that sell Dice magazines at shops, but realistically, you subscribe to it. It's like a thing you buy online. You get them. You get to see people you may or may not know. See some cool interviews. You know, it's not afraid to put nudity in it. It's I don't really. The magazine stand thing, I think, is just a thing of the past. Like, you know what I mean? There used to be a whole row at the grocery store. Now it's a little cubicle. You know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, you go into like Walgreens, for example, and this is really funny because I started noticing it. It's like the men's magazines. They might have a car driver, they might have Motor Trend, they might have four-wheel and off-road, guns, guns magazine, whatever. Okay, it's like a section like about this big, right?
Yeah.
And then the ladies' magazines are like as long as my workbench there.
Yeah.
And this tall. Women's titles.
Yeah.
It's because they're the ones that buy the fashions, they're the ones that buy the makeup, they're the ones that buy the shampoo.
Yeah.
They want to see the gossip. They want to know what Lady Gaga's doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether she picks her toes or not, that's,
yeah.
And then the other thing was, if you're collecting these old magazines, you'll notice that they were a certain size.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as you go through the years, you'll notice that the magazine starts shrinking. And like in the case of Easy Riders, you'd get, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, because it goes in the center, gets stapled, of a lesser quality paper, because paper is very expensive.
Yeah.
So is printing. Printing is very expensive. So, that if you don't have the circulation, and it doesn't matter what your magazine sales are on the rack, it's your subscriptions.
Yeah.
And the only problem with subscriptions is that a lot of times these magazines will start up and they're going to go, oh, you know what? Newsstand price is $60. You could have a subscription for $17.50, right? And you send your money in and you never get your magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
So then people go, fuck those guys. I don't want to. Fuck this prescription. I'll get a subscription after 2 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that the other positive thing is that with a magazine, you could take it and you could put it away.
Yeah.
Okay? And they go, well, we have our magazine online. If you want a story or a tech article, you can just save it. Well, what happens if your hard drive crashes?
Yeah, yeah.
It's gone.
Well, I think a lot of us, I know myself and a lot of people that I know, we've gotten tired of when we come home and we sit on a couch and then we do this. You start flipping through the phone. When I talked my wife into letting me put all my magazines and my books in the living room. So when I come home now, I turn some music on, I turn a light on, and I go grab a couple magazines off the shelf and I'll flip through them, and I'll almost always notice something that I didn't notice before in them. And I enjoy that more because I'm checking out of all this shit.
Yeah.
I don't get, on here I'll see something that pisses me off, right? I don't get that when I look in a magazine,
Well, what if you had what if you have a tech article that you really wanted and it's the magazine is online or, has a an app where you can go see the magazine online, and you really need that tech article.
Yeah.
So you go to their website, their server's down.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
You don't have anything physical that you can go to and go, there it is.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, I think it's like the generational thing, because I know, like, especially hearing you talk about how important those tech articles were to even like the existence of this table right here. You know what I mean? For my generation, we're just all conditioned to go to YouTube for any information we want. And I know that there's always going to be that caveat of it crashing or not being there, but.
Well, YouTube, the problem with YouTube is that there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah.
I've watched some of those videos, you know, the guy's going to adjust the push rods. And I'm looking at him going, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's like millions of people looking at this guy going, yeah, that's how you do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it you know, and then he bends a push rod, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, some of the people that are putting that stuff up on YouTube, they'll talk for like 45 minutes before they do the 5-minute job.
Yeah, they're trying to get some ad revenue by having more space in there. You know what I mean?
Box elder bug.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. It's like I said, it's all like the way I feel like it's the way you're conditioning growing up and stuff. And it's like, you know, being my age, like I have patience, but I have patience to do things. I don't have patience to like sit there and go through that whole wall and try to remember which one had the article for, you know, adjusting push rods or whatever. And some of us are more visually learners than like reading, you know what I mean? Like if I see it done, I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't read it and translate that into like a visual.
Well, the thing too is that everybody, which is like 2 generations removed from me, all of a sudden they had to have like instant everything.
Yeah.
Okay, they needed, you know, instant coffee, instant popcorn, instant tacos. Okay.
Yeah.
And they want the same thing with their media. They want instant results. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it's not that.
Yeah.
You know, but and if they can't get it right away, you know, and Fab Kevin, he used to crack me up. He'd go, yeah, he's going, I got another one of those guys. I said, what? He says, well, he called me up and he said, this is the morning. And he said, he called me up and he goes, you know, I ordered some motor mounts from you last night, and they're still not here yet. You know, he says, I haven't even filled the order yet. You know, he said, here's this guy wants to know. He wants to know if he's got a tracking number.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know what they expect. You know,
that's the Amazon doing right there. You know what I mean? Like making it to where.
Well, that should go along with instant everything.
But it also goes to the fact of like, a lot of people that are getting into these spaces, like there are companies that are trying to offer that kind of service like Amazon does. And so they see some people doing it and they expect everybody to do it, or like as if it creates more income for you to jump when they say jump kind of thing, you know?
I guess so.
I guess there's just not it's just perspective, right? There's not a lot of people that are into motorcycles now haven't been here for 10 years.
No, it's true.
So 10 years ago, I mean, you remember what it was like? You wrote a check to a P.O. box in a magazine, and then a month later or however long later, you would get like this, you know, build a bike in a box kind of thing or whatever, or a motor or whatever. Now it's like you're sitting on the shitter and you just decide to go ahead and make that purchase through your phone.
Right.
It's just a different world of like I completely agree with you on everything, but at the same time, it's...
No, I can see that point.
Yeah.
I really can, you know, and like I say, it's a couple generations removed from me. I guess I'm used to, you know, but I fall into that trap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go, where the hell is it? I called at 2:00 in the afternoon, you know, Amazon we got Amazon Prime, it should be here in the morning.
Yeah.
Where is it? You know?
It's a tough one, man. It's just... And I don't know. I don't know that realistically it's that people wanted this stuff instantly. I think it's just like society trying to one up and make business better and better and better. Felt like if we are the first ones, if Netflix decides to give you the entire season right then you don't have to wait 8 weeks to see this whole thing play out. Therefore, you can binge it over the weekend,
right,
and all that shit. So it's like all this stuff becomes fast based on like the capitalism competition that they all got going on, and we're just a byproduct of like, well, I guess that's how we get. I guess now I can order shit and go to the grocery store and it's already in a bag ready for me to pick up, and I don't have to do anything.
Right.
You know, so it's...
Or you don't have to do anything. You can just go on the app and the guy shows up with the truck and goes, here's your groceries.
Yeah, you don't have to leave. But I'm more fearful of the fact that people will continually lose the ability to interact with each other. Like you said, online.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
Because you go out there to the store and you bring one of those online attitudes, you're going to get laid out. Someone out there is bigger than you. You know what I mean? For the most part, there's always somebody, right?
When I first started riding, it wasn't an automatic acceptance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you had to kind of like, pay your dues. I hate to say pay your dues, man. But I mean, you did.
Yeah.
You just didn't walk in and go, hey, here I am.
Yeah.
Bro. You'd have got to.
Exactly.
When I put that Indian together, I needed a 21-inch tire and tube. I wanted an Avon Speedmaster. So my buddy gave me this guy in downtown Buffalo. I think it was on William Street. Anyways, the place looked like somebody took a sledgehammer and punched a hole in the cinder block wall,
Yeah.
And I walked in and he's way in the back and he's got one, 20-watt bulb hanging down and then, I could barely see him in there, and he goes, what do you want? And I said, well, I'm looking for an Avon 21 Speedmaster. He says, yeah, I got one. And I said, well, how much is it? He says, well, it doesn't matter because I ain't selling it to you. Now get the fuck out of here. And I'm going, what the hell? But that was the attitude, you know what I mean? That's an extreme example, but I mean, that was the attitude. Now, Keith Ball will tell you the same thing,
But wasn't motorcycling in general not as accepted either by the society?
It was never accepted.
So, I mean, you got your guard up for everybody that's walking into your world because you're not even, there's no acceptance across the board.
Well, it was, it was a deviant group.
Yeah.
And deviant, I don't mean by perverted. Deviant is somebody who deviates from the norm of society.
Yeah.
And they definitely were.
Yeah.
So nobody liked them. So they said, well, fuck you. I don't like you either. But yeah, they were suspicious of a lot of people.
That was to be said about the whole hippie movement as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there were no clubs like Hog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't buy a bike and get an automatic membership for a year to Hog, and here's all these hoggers, and there's you're all accepted, and you know what I'm saying. That didn't happen.
I think that the aspect of instant acceptance changed whenever we all had to rely on these incomes, shops. We're relying on these builds, these people to buy stuff. And, you want to be this, kind of like more or less gatekeeper to this culture that you've grown up in or love. But rent's due. There's, society is definitely way different now than it was obviously then. I mean, you got credit scores now, you got fucking everything under the sun as far as trying to stay afloat in life. And if you get behind real quick. And so I think once again, it's just a matter of, I think the economy, the way that we do business and have had to keep up with the Joneses of that has made it to where a lot of people are more accepting of other people coming in, but it does muddy the waters of like people really into this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it gets, when you've done the same sissy bar for like the 6th time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same exact sissy bar because somebody came in and they said, well, what are you thinking about? They'll bring out a picture or whatever. They'll go, just like this. And, oh, geez, I got to do this one again. Oh. Right? But then I would think that. I'm going, well, you know what? The mortgage is due. You know, we got medical bills to pay. And okay.
Yeah.
You know, I used to do the same thing with, I like the framework and stuff, but I mean, sometimes it gets to be a pain in the ass. I mean, sometimes I would have like 6 swing arm frames sitting there to be hardtailed.
Yeah.
And it was like an assembly line. And I hated that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then sometimes, maybe this is bad to say or maybe it's not, but sometimes I would just work for these people and I'm going, this guy has no appreciation for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just has no appreciation. Why am I doing this? You know, you question yourself sometimes, you know, and well, like I say, you know, I go, God, I got to hardtail this frame, mortgage is due, you know, so you do it.
Yeah.
I would much rather be doing something more artistic, but I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I do, so.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to find a way to live the life that you want in a way that you can still make enough money. So you might have to live very cheap to be able to do the art that you want to create, or you kind of have to do the latter, you know, where you're just kind of doing whatever you got to do to get by, you know?
Well, you can ask my wife, you know, in this, I mean, I do all right, you know, and I pay the bills and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But money has never been, I'm kind of like Von Dutch in the way that money hasn't been the motivating factor in what I do.
Yeah.
It's the actual, you know, thinking up whatever I'm going to do and the mechanics of it, and then the artistic point from there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the money has never really been that important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got a buddy, Terry Nails, who he was one of the original founding members of Tommy Two-Tone, you know, Jenny 8675309. And he's played with everybody, Ozzy Osbourne, Steve Jones, you name it, he's played with them, okay? And that's what Terry said. He said, you know, Rich, I go out and play every night, and I wouldn't care if I made a dime or not. He said, because the music is important.
Yeah.
That's the art, you know, the music, performing it.
Yeah.
You know, not fabricating, but formulating.
Yeah.
What you're going to play, and then the actual, you know, execution of what that all comes to. He said that's the important thing. He said I don't care if I get paid or not, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the mindset you want to have to go in this, and I think have a long career.
I think so.
Because if you focus on that creativity and that originality that's going to come from that, then eventually, as long as you're on the right path, for the most part, like the world will find it, and you'll be able to make it, right? But
well, you know, I used to have that. I guess because as you lose it as you get older, you know what I mean. I thought when I first started this that like if people would see your work and then they would come to you for more work.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work that way. You have to promote yourself to bring in the work.
Yeah.
It's almost like what you did actually isn't that important. You know, there's a lot of people in this motorcycle world that are strictly like personalities.
Exactly. And that's been that way since, you know, a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
they're not really, they're more of a personality than they are
a builder.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
An accomplished builder, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, the image is more important than the work. And I've always been one of these guys, like I said, you know, I thought, well, you know, I'll put this in Randy's show and somebody's going to come in and they're going to go, fuck, I love that air ride seat. Now I'm going to get a hold of them, see what you know. But, you know, it doesn't happen that way. And I've never been a guy, I've always, you know, my light's always been underneath a basket, I think. But that's my fault because I'm not doing that. Jesse was successful because he's an extremely good promoter too.
Yeah.
Not only does he have the skills to do it, he also is able to promote himself very well.
Yeah.
And promote his image. And that's why he's so successful.
Yeah, and that's honestly like, to an extent, that's kind of what a lot of us that have kind of gained a lot of our notoriety through social media. That's the same thing. We've had to learn how to.
This is your fly, You
Yeah.
brought him. Okay, anyways.
But yeah, it's the same thing, man. It's tough, but guys like Jesse is a perfect example of the look and the skills to back it up. He personified a look on a motorcycle that inspired a lot of men to want to jump on them. And then vice versa, he also inspired a lot of men to want to pick up trades. You know what I mean? I'm one of them.
Well,
So,
Jesse has inspired guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He gets letters all the time, and you'll see it on his Instagram or his Twitter or, whatever. It'll say, Jesse, you know what? I saw Motorcycle Mania 2, and now I'm a certified welder. And you pushed me there, you know. You made me want to do that, or you made me want to go into blacksmithing after I saw your show with the guy in Australia. He gets them all the time, and that I think is a big reward for you too.
not to sound weird or anything, but he does have that new thing coming out, that outlaw TV stuff. I think it's me personally. I think it's good for him to be able to touch and bring some of the more or less OG guys back on and have them out there, kind of like you're saying, to share these stories and these things. But I think it also would be nice to see him lean into some of the nowadays and find some of the nowadays people who kind of need that pump up, that I don't know what the word is, but like there are people now that are really badass at doing what they're doing, but they're not good promoters.
Well, that's true.
Maybe get them on there and give them a chance to shine and see and be seen and show them the way to start promoting themselves and stuff as well.
I'm not sure what the direction of that's going to be.
Same.
You know what I mean? Because in that respect, I think Jesse has always moved slow.
Yeah.
Okay. And he came out with that started promoting the outlaw TV concept several months ago.
Yeah.
But nothing's going online yet.
Yep.
And people have a tendency, like we were talking before, you send in your subscription and you never get a magazine.
Yeah.
Or you send in for a part and it never comes. People are hesitant nowadays to subscribe to like outlaw TV before there's content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because they think, oh great, he's going to get in the middle of it and then we're never going to see it. Where's my money?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to front load and like find investors to get it off the ground, and then hopefully you can build the subscription base afterwards to pay it back and move it forward. But
oh, I think it'll be successful.
Yeah, same.
I mean, he does have a built-in audience.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like they're like polar. I mean, I don't speak for Jesse.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But you've got the people that really dislike him. Okay. And then, you've got the people who think that he like walks on water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're that fanatical about it. And then you got the big group in the middle. So that's the group you gotta.
Yeah, I think both ends are going to play in, because the ones that hate him, they want to see what he's doing.
Want to see if he can fuck up?
Yeah, they're going to watch to see if he fucks up. So you're going to have those guys too. So that's the thing about like the more polarizing you are, tends to be the way to get the most people. But you got to be able to deal with all the negativity that comes with it. Everything that I've ever created that has gotten a lot of attention. It's gotten a lot of attention because somebody found it to not be good and they talk shit, and then there's people so you get people going back and forth, and it grows the whole thing, which I don't really like that. I would prefer people to just dig the content and, enjoy it for what it is. And if it's not something they like, then they just move on to something else.
Well, it's like they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yep.
If people are saying bad things about you, at least they're reading what you're doing.
Yeah.
or maybe.
They're probably not. They're reading a headline and just...
Or whatever, yeah. Like Richard Rollins.
Open his bar down there.
Yeah, right at Lozelle and, Main Street and Junction.
Yeah.
That location has never been a good luck business-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think, well, for one thing, he's not going to be living here.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's not going to see the harsh reality of, how hard it is to get people to work up here.
Yeah, it says it's going to be open all year, too.
Yeah,
right?
and the other thing is, when you've got a full staff or whatever, even a skeleton crew, and you're sitting there in January when it's like 10 below.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to come in and get a fucking Texas pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the people that responded to him on Facebook and on Instagram, the comments were brutal.
For real?
Oh, they were brutal, So, a lot of those people were like, they'll probably never, they don't know who he is, but they're never going to come here and get a pizza and that. Well, he said it's going to be a new dining experience. He said, and then we're going to have hamburgers and chilies and soups in the wintertime, and we're going to have, this fare, and then we're going to have Texas pizza.
I don't even know what the fuck that is. And I'm from Texas.
He says, you're going to love it. Okay. And I thought, well, you know what? We've got Gold Pan Pizza, we've got Pizza Ranch, we've got Domino's, and we've got
Pizza Hut?
Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
You could swing a dead cat around your head and hit
a pizza
every
joint.
Establishment serves hamburgers.
Yeah.
Right? So what's your incentive to go to his place?
We could have leaned in and brought like some good Texas barbecue up here or something like that.
Well, that was the first thing I thought he was going to bring up here.
A good steakhouse. There's really, you got to get up in the hills to go get some good steak around here. I don't know of anything in Sturgis that's like that.
No.
You go to Knuckle, but it's like on paper plates. It's just not an experience.
Well, the Knuckle's food is good.
Yeah.
I mean, if I go someplace in town, I go to the Knuckle.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's before 2:00 in the afternoon, I go to Uncle Louie's Diner.
I haven't had that yet.
Which I think is really good.
Nice.
Some people hate it, but I think it's pretty good. Everybody else I know seems to think it's pretty good.
Nice.
But he's only open till 2 in the afternoon.
Smart man.
Well, partly because it's hard to get people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's hard to retain people. And it's not the fault of the employers. It's just people go, I don't want to work there anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing with the new restaurant is that, like I said, when it's 10 below and it gets dark up here at 4:00,
yeah,
and nobody wants to go out and go to town.
Yeah.
Once they get home from work or whatever, they're here.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah, they've already made the journey.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
And he probably won't be delivery,
That would defeat the purpose of the restaurant,
Yeah.
Yeah, who's to say? I don't know. Like, I don't see it. Like I said, being from Dallas, and Richard Rawlings is also from there. Like, they had a bar and grill there for a while.
I don't want to bash him, but I just don't think he thought it out very well.
Yeah, and it's probably like many things that have to do with him. It's like he's licensing his name to this other entity to be their restaurant and bar, but it's the Gas Monkey to help sell more and bring more people in for that reason.
Right.
I'm sure they'll kill it during the rally and during any other things.
Oh, yeah.
Here that's like really good weather, but like you said,
Well, somebody might go there. I don't know if he's just counting on somebody going there once and that's it. You know what I mean? Because it's not like it's not like a local hangout. Do you know what I'm saying?
Even if you're driving through in the wintertime, you're probably not going to get off the highway and go 2 miles into town.
No.
To eat something and then get 2 miles back to the road when it's snow and all that.
Well, especially if it's bad weather conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not unusual to have I-90 closed.
Yeah, yeah.
for a day, 24 hours, 32 hours, We're fortunate up here because we have a road district that we pay for. These are Meade County roads, but we have a road district in the Blacksburg Mountain Estates that handles the plowing and the salting and stuff like that. Because this would be, if we had to count on Meade County to plow this, we wouldn't be able to get out for like 2 or 3 days.
Damn.
If then.
That's
crazy. But like I say, once in the wintertime, it's brutal up here. That's the downside of living up here, is that you got to endure the winter, but spring, summer, and fall are pretty nice.
Nice.
And like I said, the rush hour in Sturgis in the morning is like, 3 cars on Lozelle and a crew cab dually pulling a 40-foot horse trailer. You know what I mean? That's what I like about this place.
Yeah.
And everybody's extremely friendly, and everybody's extremely helpful. If they don't have what you want, they'll go, well, who'll barely be able to help you out? It's
It's a good network.
Yeah. They don't say, I don't have it. We're done.
Yeah.
Bye. Adios. Oh, that's another thing too, is that I have an account for Napa, and I get a lot of wire there, and I get my marine ignition switches and fuses and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Consumables, let's put it that way. They were out of ignition switches, marine switches, and so he said, well, I can get it for you. He says, it'll be here in the morning. This is like mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is when I first moved here. I said, well, is there like a central warehouse in Rapid City, that serves all the Napas in the area? He goes, no. He goes, we get this in from Billings, Montana. I said, Billings? He goes, yeah, the guy makes a run here every night.
Damn.
To the Black Hills area.
That's a good run.
Yeah.
From Billings.
Every night.
Yeah.
At least he's out there in the 70-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
What?
It's crazy.
I don't think I'd want to do it.
No, I definitely wouldn't.
No, but it's not unusual to have I-90 closed. And there's no back roads to get there from here.
Yeah.
See? You would have to go up to the next exit, take it down, and get on Fort Meade Way, go to the Buffalo Chip, and make a left and go back down 34 that turns into Lozelle.
Yeah, that's that dirt road that goes around.
Yeah, but they don't plow that in the wintertime.
Oh, shit.
Or very seldom.
Yeah.
So there's no other way to get there. There's no like secondary roads that go from here to Sturgis. But that's okay with me. We always have.
What makes sense is if a big storm's coming to go stock up or have stock of things you need here, right?
Well, what we do is, when my wife goes shopping, she, she'll buy like a dozen cans of soup.
Yeah.
And the next time she'll buy maybe a box of ramen.
Yeah.
And the next time she'll get like, extra package of toilet paper. You know what I mean? No, you do that all year long. So
so when it happens, it's not
it's
not a shock.
I'll tell you what though, it's really thrilling to go out here at 11 o'clock at night when it's 25 below and the wind chill is 40 below.
Damn.
Well, you're walking your dog and you're going, come on. And he's going, hey, I love it out here, boss. Let's stay, But that's, but like I say, spring, summer, and fall make it worth it.
That's good.
Just that winter comes a little bit, it's like Montana. Winter comes a little bit earlier and it stays a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But as far as the cold temperatures, I mean, in Denver in January would get like, it wasn't unusual to have like a week of below zero for highs during the day. So, and the wind coming off the mountains there, wasn't unusual to have the
wind chill down low.
The wind chill down low as well. So, I mean, it's just that up here it seems to be a little bit colder and it lasts a lot longer.
Yeah.
See, when people don't realize that Denver and Rapid City are on the same latitude. Okay, but the Earth,
the
curves. So we would get like a foot of snow in Denver, and they'd get like 1.5 feet or 2 feet up here.
Yeah.
Okay, plus it's further north, so it's colder. If we got a foot of snow in Denver, it'd be gone in 3 days.
Yeah.
Pavement would be bare because the altitude was so high, the sun was so bright and warm that it would melt. But up here, it stays.
Stays, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Well, Rich, I really appreciate doing this, man. Talking about some of this history of just choppers and fucking Sturgis and all.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, I enjoy doing it. I don't get to do these very often.
I think you'll have more people reaching out now. Once, like I said, once we put this out and more people that are kind of in these spaces of doing these interviews and podcasts and stuff like that, there's a lot of good dudes out there that do really good shows. You know what I mean? That I'm sure will end up reaching out.
Yeah. Well, I've done these like for the podcast and stuff, here and there, but not very often.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. My good friends do most of the time.
Yeah.
No. But
I think I like following you on Instagram. I like to see the posts that you make when you're doing these bikes and the progress and all those kind of stuff. So to me, I think it's cool to see you putting those things out there and what's getting done and going and stuff.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I put those up there and I go, God, should I really put this up there? Is this like really important? Or, But then I go back to this one friend of mine that says, Rich, you need to put something up every single day. I'm going, why? And they go, because otherwise people won't follow you. I'm going, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
Back in the old blog days,
yeah,
I would put something up maybe once or twice a week, maybe.
Yeah.
But that was full of a lot of history. There was a lot of old history and a lot of...
I've been going down the blog rabbit holes.
Photographs and stuff that you probably won't see anyplace, and stories, And I used to really enjoy that. I used to really enjoy doing tech articles and feature articles and whatnot for the magazines. But now we're down to 2 magazines.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? We got Cyclosaurus and we got Choppers.
Choppers has made a comeback, and then Easy Riders is still around, but it's kind of weird.
Well, they just went through a change again.
Yeah, and then you got a Hot Bike making a comeback. So,
well, sometimes I wonder when something comes back. God, Hot Bike's gonna hate me for this too. But Hot Bike always seemed like, and I had some tech articles in Hot Bike, but it always seemed. You can't be everything to everybody. You know what I mean? You might have a chopper feature, and the guys who like choppers will like the chopper feature, but then they're not going to like the Dyner or the FXR feature.
Yeah.
Or the performance bagger feature.
Yeah.
So they go, well, fuck, I'm not buying this. It's a one chopper in it and 3 Dyners. Fuck that, Well,
what if you had 10 choppers and 10 performance bikes? Then there's,
Yeah.
Cut out some of the other fluff, cut out some of those advertisements everywhere.
Oh,
sell
you can't
the magazine
do that.
at a higher. Yeah, I think you can. I think you'll be surprised with some stuff that's going to end up coming out.
Yeah.
Quality.
I was just saying that for an example. That, And you were talking about Easy Riders, and the first Easy Riders has always had the, chopper crowd. So the very first issue that came out of the classic Easy Riders, it was called. The first tech article they printed was the exhaust system for a dyno.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. But like I say, I have my feature in Easy. I have downstairs, I have every Easy Riders from issue number 1 all the way to the Harley's 95th anniversary, and then I quit buying them because the content just wasn't there anymore. And I go, do I want to buy these to keep the collection going, or I just want to stop? And I said, Okay, well, maybe I got my picture in there at the 95th anniversary for Harley.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So that was the last issue I bought. I have every issue of Super Cycle from issue number 1 until they quit printing them. I have every Little Roth's
Yeah.
Shoppers Magazine.
Hell
I
yeah.
have those.
Did you ever see any of the show class magazines when those popped up in the late 2010s?
I have a couple copies downstairs.
Nice.
They did an interview with me in like issue number 3.
Oh, hell yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it was number 2 or number 3.
I'm still trying to piece that whole collection together with those magazines.
Really?
Yeah.
They were okay. Talking about greasy culture, I wrote like the first 2 years. I wrote a column for greasy culture every issue.
Yeah, I had a couple of those when those were out.
But the problem with that is that you write a monthly column, it's really tough to come up with new or interesting material. Do you know what I mean? Especially when I've got to work on these.
Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta sit down. I gotta get the idea. I gotta formulate it. I gotta get everything that supports it, like pictures and whatnot. You know, and gotta make sure everything that you write is factual. You know, and it's the truth. It gets to be a real job.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not fun. So that's finally what I told Guy. I said, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm just so busy. I really can't spare the time.
I think if
this.
you're an editor of a magazine, then you should be able to facilitate all the stories yourself if you have to, in the light that you can't get people to come through. And I think a lot of times they get so used to having everybody else do the work, you know, in some instances that the magazines fall short whenever they just start trying to find whoever to fill the gaps instead of, you know.
And I don't know how some of these editors do it, but they're like the only one on staff. And they might have a photographer.
Maybe.
But when they do the articles, they're like a wrench and shortstop and, you know,
Scooter Tramp Scotty.
Big Al. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's the same guy.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the editor.
Yeah.
You know? And you say, wow, there's a lot of people that work for that magazine. It's one guy.
Yeah.
But that's been going on for quite some time. And that was funny. I read Leon Russell's autobiography.
And
It's about that thick.
Damn.
Yeah. And you know, it's paperback size.
Yeah.
But it's like this thick.
Uh-huh.
And Lou Kimsey was the one that started Easy Riders. It was his idea, you know. Lou Kimsey had a long magazine background, you know. I think he started out with Motor Trend, I think is what he started out with. But anyways, in that Leon Russell autobiography, it talks about Leon Russell having the album art for his very first solo record. Leon Russell and the Asylum Choir, he called it. And it was with Mark Benno. And he said this guy comes over and he's got 2 girls with him, and he did the photographs of Mark Benno and Leon Russell, and it was Lou Kimsey, you know, freelancing, which I thought was interesting. You know, everything's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Like I said before, everybody thinks this is a big world. It's not. It's not. It's real small.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I mean, what other thing can you join? You can come in the motorcycle industry, and the next thing you know, if you show up to Sturgis, you can be within feet of, you know, a Jesse James or a Arlen Ness or you know, Dave Perowitz or whoever, and maybe even get a chance to actually have real conversations with these men. You know what I mean?
Some of them are very accommodating, and some of them will talk your ear off, and other guys will just blow you off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely that. But, you know, that's just human nature. Everybody's that way. You pick 5 guys out of a grocery store, and you're going to get 5 different people, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I remember the first year that Orange County Choppers came to Sturgis. They were set up at the Sturgis Community Center there at the end of Lozelle, you know. And they had like 2 bikes with them and like a card table and a couple lawn chairs. That was it.
It's the good old days of starting small and just growing big, you know.
And everybody was just walking right by them. They're kind of going, you know, kind of look, you know. But that's, I remember that. And I remember when West Coast Choppers started coming up here, you know, that place was always busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he brought a lot of people to motorcycling, but do you find it in any kind of way, good or bad, that like you don't see those names really have anything to do with Sturgis anymore?
Well, a lot of them, yeah, I do, you know, because I don't know. I think you owe it to the people.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Because, you know, it's like the movie stars and whatnot. You don't have fans. Nobody's going to go see your movies. You know? So they want to see you.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan.
Yeah.
But I was watching the Summer Olympics last night.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise was at the gymnastics. And he's got like this giant crowd around him, and he's just laughing and stuff, or signing autographs and posing for pictures and stuff. You know, and that's what, you know, an event like this, it should be.
Yeah. If
you're in the business, you know. But a lot of the people that used to be here in Sturgis on Main Street or on Lozelle, you know, they've all moved into Black Hills Harley Davidson at exit 55.
Yeah.
They're all set up there.
Yeah.
S&S and, you know, Bassani and...
Clockworks.
Clockworks and... yeah, you name it, they're set up out there.
Yeah, I always, you know, I felt like it would be nice. I mean, like I would say, I kind of said before, it's like, even though you're kind of creating your own path in this, things like Sturgis is where a lot of opportunity comes from, a lot of chance for people to see your bikes. And it's kind of like the motherland, right? It's like the place where us motorcyclists, this is where a lot of careers are made, a lot of memories are made, a lot of things are done. And in my opinion, it's like, you know, you don't want to see something amazing like this ever die while it's your generation's turn to kind of carry the torch, right?
Right.
And so you got to go here enough to know what the fucking vibe is even about, you know, to understand why people have been coming here for almost 85 years, you know?
When I worked for Giants Motorcycles, a large group of new people that I didn't know, I was able to acquaint myself with because we sold their products.
Yeah.
You know. I remember we went to Daytona to vend in 2000 and trying to remember who it was. I believe it was Hot Bike. Yeah, I think it was Hot Bike. They threw a bowling party for everybody in Daytona, for everybody that was a vendor.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's there. And they had like free bowling and all this stuff, you know, and a buffet and all that, which was really nice. And of course, Peterson Publishing was paying for it, you know. Yeah. But anyways, you could press the flesh with everybody, you know, everybody that was, you know, anybody was there. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Arlen Ness was like an extremely good bowler. Okay.
Yeah.
So he would go hustle bowlers like pool hustlers would hustle guys, right?
Uh-huh.
So he's out there at the lanes and he's got a bowling ball in his hand and he's going, "Hey, anybody want a bowl?" Everybody's going, "Get out of here, bro." You know, because they knew, you know.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. He goes, "Hey, anybody want a bowl?" those are the things I take away from events like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
What would be nice? It would definitely be nice to have more of those kind of places where, if you're a young guy in the industry, to be able to get an invite to go rub elbows with a Ness, a Jesse James, these people in this industry, like that. Those kind of networking events are important because even if you're a young builder or young brand coming in,
you need to make the contact.
You need to make the contacts, and there might be something you provide that these other brands might be able to use as well. So there's this circle of life going on, and that's why I say that like the two events that I go to every year, regardless, are Born Free California and Sturgis. Born Free California is the closest thing to what you're talking about. You're in this canyon, right? And in this canyon is just about the owner of every motorcycle brand thing, everything.
It's a lot of them.
Right there. Like you're going to rub shoulders with people. I mean, it's not really the setting to do networking, but it's still an opportunity that could come here. They're all here too, but they're spread over a 100-mile radius. You know what I mean?
And Daytona, they're spread out even further.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was born in Daytona Beach, but I mean, for the rally, for Daytona Bike Week or Biketoberfest, everybody's all over the place.
Yeah.
And one of the worst places to ride around is Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
You get all those blue hairs driving their, dead husband's 1974 Lincoln Battlestar Cruiser, the steering wheel like this big. You can see this little Q-tip sticking out above the other. And they don't wait. They just, when they want to go, they know they've got that big Lincoln around. They just pull out in front of you.
Yep.
Let you run into them, But Daytona's pretty spread out.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if I had to choose my event between Daytona and Sturgis, I would pick Sturgis.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
there's more to offer. There's the riding, there's the history. There's good history in Daytona, but it doesn't seem very well preserved.
But I've done the Ormond Loop, you know what I mean, and I've ridden down to New Smyrna. Oh, great. Gary Glennon, that's Steve's dad. He may be in town.
That's cool.
Like I said, down at Hawk Heaven, they police line do not cross a big area, And so he may be in town or he may be leaving. I don't know. He's in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like if you came up from Madison, went over from Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Kind of more the Dells area?
Yeah, the intersection of
yeah.
coming up from Madison and going over from Green Bay.
Yeah.
Gets just as cold there as it does here.
Sure. Yeah, it gets cold up there, man. But yeah, man, I appreciate this. Like I said, we can wrap it up.
I had fun.
Yeah, it was just cool to hear all this stuff.
You can edit out whatever you think.
No, I want it all to stay, man. I don't like to edit them. I think it's you'll be all right. You didn't say anything.
I don't want to pick on Richard Rollins.
Nah, he's all right. he gets it.
Or anybody, and I don't want to blow Jesse too much.
Well, it's not really blowing if it's the truth, man. It's just the honest to God truth.
He started. This is so stupid. He started.
I don't say anything I got to cut out.
Oh,
okay.
No, he started up Chopper Dogs again.
Oh, he did?
Well, years ago.
Yeah.
It was dead, and he started it up again. And Rip's daughter, Christina, she called me up and she says, Jesse wants you to sign up for Chopper Dogs. I said, okay. So then he had to make an introductory post, so I did. And Jesse gets on there and he goes, oh, sure, I made you a big television star. He says, and now you won't even come over and talk to me anymore. I'm going, what? I knew he was fucking with me, but I mean, she says, Jesse wants you to go over and sign up for Chopper Dogs, because I didn't even know it was going.
Yeah.
He says, I make you a big TV star, and now you won't even come and talk to me.
Tell him he has to go to Sturgis. He has to show up to something.
He was here. I don't know if he was here after that, but he was here in 2017.
Okay, I was here that year
for the 75th. He was set up on Lazelle out in the middle of Lozelle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
From like the city park to
The gun store.
say 90, he was like right in the middle of Lozelle, right here.
Okay. Isn't there like a post office or something right there?
No, he was further east than that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, that's how
How
they.
do you judge it? Like, is it right there where the Sturgis sign is, or a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right?
You know what? That big. This is so stupid. That big sign that says Sturgis,
Yeah.
right? And they got the curbing and stuff so you can ride up next to the sign and get your picture taken in front of it.
Uh-huh.
I never knew where that was
Oh, in front of the coffee shop?
until, well, it's where that Sturgis Brewing Company is. You know?
Oh, okay. On this side over here, then.
Well, they have one in both ends now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah.
That one at the other end is not very old, a couple years old.
Yeah.
But the other one, I never knew where that was. I'm going, where is this thing? Right? Well, I never used to come in on Junction, which is where it is.
Yeah.
I'd always get off at exit 30, not exit 32. And then, you know.
Go down Lozelle, yeah.
Yeah, because Hog Heaven is at exit 32, you know. So until we moved up here, and I had to go to the Ace Hardware store.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, this is where it is. I go, oh my God. I never knew. Because if I had to go to like Napa or Ace Hardware or all those in there, where those gas stations were you went to, I would come in the back way.
Okay.
And I'd come out at that light that was right before Monument Hospital. So I'd actually be going this way, and the sign was up
Like
there.
a little bit recessed, yeah.
And you couldn't tell from the back. So I never knew where it was.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even know. I honestly never go that way either. I'm always coming in off the Lozelle exit. So,
Yeah.
it's just all those, the neighborhood. It's like when you get off of Lozelle, it's like you're injected into the rally a lot quicker than if you go on to that other exit.
Yes.
And you go through a lot of the neighborhoods before you get to that spot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, see, being up here, you know, so many years, I know before we moved up here, I knew all the back roads and stuff, you know, so I could avoid like
yeah.
pretty much everything,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm trying to, yeah, I know how to get there. I just don't know what the names of the streets are. But you can come up, Ballpark Road, and then you can come out right by the Ace Hardware store and that. And then if you go left, you can come out and go across, and then you come to where it dead ends. You come down, you're right at City Park. So you've eliminated like the whole of Sturgis.
Yeah.
It's like during the 75th, you know, when everybody was bumper to bumper and wheel to wheel and nobody was moving.
Yeah.
And people's bikes were seasoned and stuff, you know. We're like cruising around everybody, you know, and we're going, pull those poor suckers down there, you know.
On the 75th, I think we stayed in Hill City that year. Just that we didn't want to be too close to, we knew it was going to be pretty insane.
I hit a deer between Hill City and Rockerville.
Yeah, there's a bunch of fucking deer over
About
there.
9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. They're you'll see them right on the road. Their eyes are glowing and everything, man.
Oh, yeah.
They're insane.
Well, the deer, I always warn people, we're not having anybody stay here. Bill Mize, I think, is going to stay here. But we're not having people stay here because they started using me for a place to stay, okay? Then when they found something better,
yeah.
they wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
And so I'm waiting for them, and they never called to say, hey, we found another place. Sorry about that, right? And I'm not charging people deposits. Everybody's going, oh, you ought to charge them a deposit. That way, you know, if they don't show up, you've got their money. I go, fuck, all they do is they're going to stop payment on the card or call their card holder and go, hey, I want to cancel this charge. I said, if it's a PayPal payment, I said,
yeah, they can just
dispute it with PayPal.
Yeah.
You know, I said, no. I said, it doesn't do any good to do that. That's not a good alternative.
Yeah.
To tell you that you got paid. And it was a pain in the ass. You know, I'd have people going, well, do you have a private entrance to the room? I'm going, no, this isn't like the Super 8, okay?
Yeah.
You don't walk out of the parking lot into your room, you know?
Yeah.
Well, is there a common area? And I'm going, lady, it's a house, okay? Yeah, there's a common living room, okay? Yeah. You get people like that, and then they come in and they go, no, I don't know. This isn't what I expected. And I sent them pictures of the room,
Yeah,
in the house and stuff, you know. Forget it, you know. It's not worth it. It's not worth the extra income. But up here, you know, I think Bill Nye will stay here.
yeah. Well, if you got good friends that'll stay here, they'll stay here because you're your friends and want to hang out with you and stuff.
But then I have a hard time charging them.
Yeah, there's that, right?
You know, I have a hard time charging them. And then my wife's going, "Can I stay here for free?"
Gotta love the old lady, man. They'll keep
I go,
you in
yeah,
check.
well, you know, I can't. You know, Joe took care of me in Orange County. I really owe him. You know.
Well, cool. All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you again,
All right.
Rich. And yeah, it's been a good time seeing your spot. And yeah, find you on Instagram, right? Do you have a website or anything like that?
No, I gave the website up.
Yeah. All you need is Instagram and
Yeah,
Facebook.
I got rid of my website, and I even got rid of my domain.
Yeah.
You know, it was costing me money that I wasn't.
Yeah.
It's me $60 a month, you know, to
Damn,
host my
yeah.
website that nobody went to, and
Yeah.
you know, nobody sends you emails anymore. So what was the sense of having a website?
Exactly.
You know, and the domain didn't do me any good because who's going to steal something that doesn't work?
Yeah.
Right?
So it's cool. They can find you Irish Rich Motors. Is it?
No, on Instagram, it's Irish Rich Custom Cycles.
That's right.
And it's all one word.
Cool.
Yeah. And I am on Facebook, but I'm on there as Rich Ryan.
Okay.
I did have a Irish Rich Custom Cycles business page, but I haven't added anything to that for years.
Yeah.
So, because I never got any business out of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, cool. All right, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Okay, but you can always get a hold of me on Instagram. And that's got my phone number.